Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live broadcast of the ANZCAR Tristo 300, a very special event coming your way tonight where we're raising money for one of our fellow iRacing community members, Tristan Yelland. And the ANZCAR community's come together tonight to try to raise money to help Tristan out. But before we get into the racing and the qualifying, I'd like to welcome my co-host, Steve Hoppett. How you going, Steve?
G'day, Bernie. How you doing? G'day to everybody who's watching the stream tonight. We should be in for quite a great race.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely awesome race, and if you want to get in the spirit of things here, folks, and donate some money, you can. And we're trying to get to a $500 goal here, and as you can see on the screen, you can go to gofundme.com/410 Grand Slam Tristo fundraiser, and any bit of money towards this great cause will be very much appreciated, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful cause, and what a fantastic effort from the guys at ANZCAR to put this event together for Tristan, who's having more than his share of medical issues, and we hope to help him out with the funds that are raised. We're closing in on that $500 mark, but we do actually need just a bit more. So anybody who's on the stream who knows Tristan, he's been around iRacing for quite a while, chip in if you can and help us get up to that target and help Tristan out. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And we'll be crossing back to that page as the event goes tonight to see if we can move that needle just a bit closer to the $500 mark. Also, a big shout out to Middle Finger Racing. They've got into the swing of things. They've basically come out and they've given an incentive to every driver here tonight, and that basically is for every lap they go that is under green, they're going to donate $1. So if we get 200 laps under green here, Steve, that's a $200 donation. So let's see how we go here.
Oh yeah, look, that would be fantastic, and what a wonderful, generous offer to do something like that. With the number of laps that we can get under our belt here tonight. The couple of spots here that might put a little bit of a dent in that. Turn 3, there's a fair bit of push. If you don't lift your foot coming through and out of turn 3, the car is likely to push a bit up the track, and if that's in a group of traffic, well, that could certainly spell disaster there. But I'm sure that we've got a lot of experienced guys out there tonight, so let's hope that those funds just keep piling up tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. And we've got a total of 19 cars out here tonight, and they're running in the Xfinity NASCAR. We're at Charlotte at 200 laps. We're about to go into qualification here. They'll have 10 minutes to qualify, lone qualifying as it always is, and we will see who gets put on the pole position, and we'll go from there. I think also I heard one of our sponsors was donating a prize tonight as well. Were you across that?
Yeah, I believe it's a gift voucher. I may be wrong, but I think it was $50. The $50 gift voucher for the winner of tonight's race.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is how pro I am. Do you know who's given that? Because I don't have my notes in front of me.
Look, yeah, to be perfectly honest, I did read the article. I'm not sure whether it's ANZCAR themselves that are putting that up. If you give me a couple of minutes, I'll actually check on that for
you. Yeah, sorry to drop you in the deep end there, mate. So, folks, they are out here qualifying at the moment. They've got 3 qualifying laps, so we'll see how they go. At the moment, we're having a look at James Foster. He's come out in the number 14 Cobalt entry, different colour, and we can see Lee Granty there as well. So we'll go back to James Foster very quickly, and we'll see what sort of a time he can post as they try to get onto pole position here tonight.
Yeah, everybody's going to be out to get the best possible time. They want to be up the front at this track. It's a great track to run on. If you are very familiar with the track, it helps with the way you run here at Charlotte. There's certain spots that have a little bump. Some have a fairly decent ripple. But it's all a matter of knowing how each embankment actually behaves and how the car will actually behave as you come into and through the turn. There's, I believe it's turn 1. If you're on the high side or the outside, there's a fairly noticeable change in the track surface where it goes from almost dead flat to the embankment. So the high side coming into turn 1 is probably not the best place to be, especially if you're side by side with somebody else. But the experienced guys at this track will know that, and the guys who put in the practice will know that. Turn 2, there's a little bit of push if you're on the low side and you're still into the pedal. And then turn 3, of course, if you hold the pedal flat into turn 3, the car is going to push towards the outside. So it's going to be a bit of throttle control and a bit of knowledge of the track and practice. Anybody who's come into this without enough practice and hasn't explored the bumps and the characteristics of the track properly, they're going to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, they certainly will. And for those joining us tonight, welcome to the very special telecast of the Tristo 300 charity event. I apologise for not having the logo up there, but we're running the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder logo. Looking at the qualifying at the moment, folks, the top 10. Josh Micklemore is on provisional pole with a 27.069. Lee Granty has jumped up to, well, he's just been pushed down to third because Jeff Rayleigh has snatched pole position. In fourth, Danny G, followed by David Webb sitting in fifth at the moment. We've got Jared Farrowell sitting in sixth. Weehan Chan from Singapore sitting in seventh. Bob King is running in eighth at the moment. Darren O'Brien and James Foster rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, it's certainly out there, and they're putting in the effort so far. But I'm not finding any information on the gift voucher. I know I read it somewhere, but so maybe that's something we'll have to check in with the ANZCAR admins later on. And a little bit of something about, I believe, the admins from ANZCAR, especially for tonight's event. Bernie, did they say they're doing something special with the cars, I believe?
Yeah, they're running a ribbon tonight on their cars. And if we jump to Roger Clark here, once his paint job comes up, they're running a nice ribbon on the bonnet of their cars to commemorate tonight's event and the Tristan Yelland charity. Yeah,
no, it's a great cause and should be a great event. I mean, it just helps for a wonderful event like this that it's for such a good cause, and the guys will be out there just racing as they normally do while we attempt to raise the funds needed for Tristan for his medical treatment.
Yeah, exactly right. And as I was saying, we've got a good field out here tonight. 19 guys have signed up. Basically, how they got to enter, folks, they gave a donation to the charity, and that guaranteed them a start in tonight's race. So thanks to all the drivers who've got behind this great cause tonight and have come out here to have a bit of fun. You can see Danny G there. He's qualified in fourth at the moment, and his best time was a 27.240. And it looks like all the guys have finished their qualifying here tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of close times in there though. Right through up until 13th place are all in the 27s. Craig Lawless and Steve Catalano outside that time. Craig is actually in the low 28s. He's got a 28.157, and Stephen Catalano, I didn't see his qualifying laps, but with a 35.8, I'm guessing that he's had a bit of a whoopsie there at some point around the track.
And we've got a few more guys. Dave Douglas is coming out now to do his. Let's keep an eye on Dave. And basically how this works, folks, they have 10 minutes to set their qualifying lap. A lot of the guys have gone out early and done those, but we've got a few of the more savvy players out there that have not done it yet. No doubt they want to see the target. One's Dave Douglas. We're expecting also to see Nicholas Crawford come out. Norman Clark and his son Roger Clark both have not run. So this is going to be interesting to see what sort of times these blokes can put in. And of course now, Steve, they have a target to reach, don't they? They know exactly what those other guys have done.
Oh, that's exactly right. With 10 minutes and 2 laps, sometimes fun people will play the strategy game. They'll wait, they'll see what everybody else has run. They know what their target is. Some guys will just go out there, do their best regardless of what everybody else is going to run. Other guys will go out there happy with the knowledge that what people are running, what the guys at the front are running, with 27 3s, 27 2s, whatever. And they know what they need to do to at least get themselves towards the front. If during their practice they know that they've bettered that time, then that gives them a fair old shot and a bit of confidence at landing right at the front of the field. But yeah, with Dave Douglas, he's out there at the moment. Car number 11.
Yeah, he just put in 8th best time, 27.331. He's backed out of it. He actually got quite loose there in the final corner, which cost him some time, and it doesn't have to be a lot, does it? But we can see Norman Clark out here now. He's just going out on his warm-up lap, and he'll be running very shortly. So Dave Douglas, 27.331, Steve, only as good as 8th position.
Yeah, that's not too bad, actually. It's pretty close. In pre-qual practice tonight, Dave actually put in as 27.261. So he's not that far off it. But yeah, he did definitely backed right out of that on what I think was the second lap. So it's obviously got a bit loose on him, and he felt that he'd done what he could, and he thought it was better just to lift his foot and just cop the time that he'd copped. Yeah, he was less than a tenth of a second, probably about 5 or 6 hundredths off his practice time. So that's good enough for 8th at this point. But yeah, with Nicholas Crawford and Roger Clark to log a time, and Norman has just put in a 27.7. I believe that's only his first lap, so he's going to go around again, see if he can improve on that.
Yeah, so that places him currently in 15th position. As you can see on the screen there, folks, his target 27.040. I don't think he's going to do it, but he comes across the line the second time, 27.376. That improves him, and it brings him up to 11th position. I'm just waiting to see. We're still waiting to see if Nicholas Crawford's coming out, and as well as Roger Clark, but both of them have not made the track as yet, and no doubt they'll be running out of time.
Yeah, a little bit strange. There's not a lot of time left. In fact, just less than 30 seconds. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those two, both Nicholas and Roger, are happy to start at the back of the field to see how things pan out, because they don't have time to actually put in a lap right now.
Yeah, so they're going to be starting up the back, but it's a 200-lap race. I guess if you're starting way back there, though, your real goal is to stay out of trouble, isn't it? And work the strategy to get up through the field without coming to grief with anyone else's accident. We saw that in the trucks, didn't we? These guys, the speed they get to, they don't have a lot of time to react if there's an accident in front of them.
No, especially around a track like this. I mean, this is a 2.5, nearly 2.5 kilometres long, which I think is a bit over a kilometre. So yeah, there's a lot of speed builds up here, and there's not a lot of time for reaction. If something happens in front of you, you're going to have to be a fair way back to have any chance of avoiding it or lifting your foot, going around it, whatever. Steve Catalano just posting in the in-race chat. He's basically conceded that that's the best he's going to get tonight, and he's just going to have to wait and see what opportunities await. If somebody makes a mistake, he can hopefully be in a position to take advantage of it and improve his own position. But we're about to roll away from the start line under the pace car, so this is where we start to get things happening, Bernie.
Definitely, and we'll start by going through the grid so our viewers can see where their favourite driver will be starting tonight. So Jeff Rayleigh, he's taken pole position with a 27.040. On the outside of the front row, he's joined by Josh Micklemore. On the second row, we've got Lee Granty from Asia starting in third, and Danny G will start on the outside of him in fourth. Out of fifth tonight in the third row, we have David Webb, and Edward Foster will be starting on the outside of him. In the fifth row tonight, starting out of seventh, Jared Farrell and Dave Douglas. And then we have in ninth, Weehan Chan from Asia, and Bob King will start out of 10th. Out of 11th tonight is Norman Clark, and on the outside of him, we have Scott O'Brien. Out of 13th is Darren O'Brien, and James Foster will start out of 14th. Could be an omen there, because I think his number is 14 as well. Daniel Stevens will start in 15th, 16th Craig Lawless, 17th Steve Catalano, and 18th Nicholas Crawford. Rounding out our field at 19, Roger Clark, and I can confirm they are on the track.
Yes, they are on the track. I was actually looking at Roger's livery sitting there on the start line waiting for the pace car to roll away. And yes, in fact, James Foster's number is number 14. So 14 starting from 14th. But I personally wouldn't expect James to stay that far back for very long.
No, he'll be looking at moving forward, and he's an aggressive racer too. And we saw that in the race Edward helped call. We just saw how aggressive James can be. Fantastic driver, but boy, does he play for sheep stations. And a bit of a shout out to some of our viewers out there. We've got Martin Pearson joining us from the UK, so welcome, mate. But here we go, we're underway. Jeff Rayleigh, he's bolted, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's opening up a gap. Yeah, he's taking this thing by the scruff of the neck, Bernie. And as they all come around through there, starting to spread out. 15 up on almost right on the rear bumper of car 66, taking a little bit of draft there. Now he's moved off to the left-hand side, and the guys at the back, yeah, I can see one of the guys has actually dropped right off there, and he's lost about 3 or 4 positions. Roger Clark's trying to move up, and he's moved up beyond car 15, and he's up after car number 66, which I think is Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, we can see there 66 is Daniel Stevens. His father's just ahead of him as we're riding on the bumper cam here as he's getting that draft, and you can see that ribbon on the back of Daniel Stevens' car. But let's have a closer view here, having a look on the inside, and we'll see if he can make this move. Of course, he started from dead last, and he's trying to get his way through the field, and see how it goes. But so far we've run here 2 laps under green, so that's $2 Middle Finger Racing have raised for this great cause with their payment for each lap under green we do here.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at this gap that Jeff Haley is holding over Josh Micklemore, but Josh is not giving up. He's actually pushing hard. He's trying to get right up on the bumper of Jeff Rayleigh there, and Lee Granty is certainly not out of it either as far as the top 3 are concerned, and Danny G is certainly keeping the other guys honest ahead of him. They know he's there. Now Josh Micklemore moved right up on the rear bumper of Jeff Haley, and you've got Lee Granty who's going to do the same. He's just trying to line himself up, and Josh Micklemore moving down the low side, and Jeff Haley has cut him off there and blocked him out.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It took them a bit of time to get up to speed, but they're up there now. And Lee Granty, a new name, we haven't heard from him before. He's actually a NASCAR racer from Asia who's come out to run with us down under tonight. He actually heard about this great event through his friend Wei Han Chan, also a NASCAR driver from Asia, and they've come out to play.
Yeah, and a special shout out, good day to Wei Han Chan, who actually also does some time in the commentary box with you, Bernie. So
yeah, that's right. He normally jumps in and helps us call the Thursday Night Thunder every fortnight, but we're not going to see much of him, Steve, because he's actually gone back to study on Thursday nights.
Yeah, sorry, Bernie. Josh Micklemore trying to put a move on Jeff Haley there, but Jeff's got a little bit too much pace for him, and Josh Micklemore drops back into the draft in second place.
Yeah, he had a good go, didn't he? He just didn't have the speed, but I guess as they do that, you can see now he's dropped back into the hands of Lee Granty and Danny G in the 13th, beautifully presented car, sitting there in 4th. Further down in 5th we have Edward Foster and Dave Douglas. Dave's now on the inside of him having a look here, trying to work out which line's going to work best for him, and we've got the 65 heavy into the fence behind them.
Yeah, just at the back of the field there, he seemed to get a little bit loose. The rear end's come around and it's put him into the infield wall. And
we're going to have a look at this replay and just see what happened. Oh yeah, into the wall, all right. And of course, once you hit the wall there, he had nowhere to go apart from saying hello to his big friend at the inside wall.
Yeah, and there's no pace car because he must be far enough to the infield that it hasn't triggered the pace car. So where it's still under green, no caution at this time.
That's right, so lap 9 out of 200. The way they're going here, folks, this race could be over very, very quickly. But at the moment, Jeff Rayleigh's leading Micklemore, and then we've got Lee Granty now having a look. And where's he going to go? He's decided he's going to place his bet on Micklemore. And it's interesting here, Steve. It looks like they're all running the inside line, but is there any other line that they could be looking at here at Charlotte?
Yeah, they're running what seems to be traditional lines at this point. Although they're running high at turn 1 and then down to the low line coming into turn 2. But otherwise, it seems to be fairly traditional with the lines. Nobody's taking any chances at this point. And it looks like, car number 2, Josh Micklemore's moved up ahead of Jeff Rahaley and taken the lead, with Lee Granty still in third and Danny G right at the back of that. So we've got that 4-car battle pack, although Danny would prefer to be a little bit closer to the back of Lee Granty. They're fighting hard for it.
Look at this, Lee Granty, he caught them both asleep there. Jeff lifted a bit in corner, and Lee Gantry, he overtook both of them for the lead here. So we've got Lee Gantry leading Josh Micklemore, Jeff Rayleigh. I have a feeling Jeff might have clipped the wall on the outside. I thought I saw that in the corner of my eye because he's dropped right back into the hands of Edward Foster now. For the people watching this, the lap times, they're in the low 28s at the moment.
Yeah, Danny G in 4th and Jeff Rahaley's just in front of him. So, yeah, he's obviously washed off a fair bit of speed there. Perhaps he clipped the wall, and in an effort to actually try and just hold the position and stay towards the front, he's perhaps pushed it through one of the turns and washed off a bit more speed. And both Lee and Josh have taken advantage of that in the 29 and 2 car, and Lee's actually passed Josh for the lead now.
Yeah, so there's some great battling there. We're actually with Lee when he got that run, and he slingshot basically underneath Jeff there, which gave him the momentum to also grab Josh at the same time. Now Danny G, he's moved up to 3rd position, as we can see now on the inside, and we've got Edward Foster also in the 53. He's joining the party, and of course they can smell blood, and that is Jeff Rayleigh, who's starting to struggle a bit out there.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit loose there. Jeff's got loose and he's gone around. He got a little bit of a tap there from Danny G, I think.
Yeah, he did as he went around there. We'll grab a look at the replay. We are under caution here tonight, folks, for the first time at Charlotte, and 15 laps under green. So Littlefinger Racing has donated $15 to our great cause, which is absolutely fantastic. But let's have a look back at this replay and just see what occurred. He really did get pretty loose, didn't he? And that's Jeff Rayleigh. And I think he was a bit lucky that he only got a bit of a rub.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's a tyre problem for him, Bernie, because it was the rear end really did start to just slowly come around on him, and you could see he was trying to catch it, but at the same time he looked like he was holding his foot into it, because he knew that there were 2 other competitors in Edward Foster and Danny G. They were really all over him like a crook suit, and he knew that if he lifted it to get out of the slide, that really would have cost him. But in hindsight, that would have probably been the best option. But he seemed to hold the foot into it, which of course kept the slide going, and the rear end just continued to come around. And by the time he actually got a tap up the rear end, he was gone already. So.
Yeah, and here they come into pit road, folks. Lee Gantry is leading, and Josh Micklemore's down there. Edward Foster. Keep an eye on this, because we've got most of the field in, and this is where the guys can really capitalise if their pit crew are really on the ball.
Yeah, look, the race could be won and lost on pits. Really, I mean, do I need to take tyres? Do I need to take fuel? Obviously in Jeff's case, he's got some damage to repair because the rear of that car, when I thought it was just a light tap, going by the shape of the rear of that car, it was a lot more than that. And the field is pitted and they're heading back out on track. They'll line up behind the pace car, and in another couple of laps we'll go green again.
Certainly will. And if we have a look at the moment of the top 10, folks, Lee Granty, he got the fastest pit time there, 14.4 seconds. Danny G came out second. His stop, 14.3 seconds. Edward Foster came out third. Josh Mickelmore down there in fourth, and he had one of the slowest times, 15.7 seconds. Dave Douglas, he'll start out at fifth with David Webb out of sixth. Darren O'Brien, he'll start out as seventh on the restart with James Foster in eighth. Wee Han Chan will start in ninth, and Bob King rounds out our top 10.
Yep, and then of course in 11th place we've got Roger Clark. Then Danny Stevens in 12th. Jeff Rahaley comes out in 13th. And I noticed the rear of that car looks unrepaired. So hopefully that won't cause him any aerodynamic problems tonight. Just going to have to wait and see on that. He was confident with fuel tyres and to get out there because the car does not look like the rear was repaired at all. Maybe doesn't feel that it was necessary, and it would have just taken more time than he's got to spare. Just wanted to get it going, get it back out on track. And he'll see how it goes. Another pace car, if it's causing him any issues, I'm sure he'll look at getting some repairs to try and fix up any aerodynamic issues he's having.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Jared Farrell has done. He's down 2 laps, and we saw him heavy in the wall. He's come in, taken tyres, and had a look at the car. The pit crew have waved him out once again as they're under the pace car here. And Lee Granty, he will have control of this field when we go racing, and which will be very, very shortly, folks. Meanwhile, let's cross over to our fundraising page, and at the moment we are looking for donations, folks. We are trying to get to $500, so if you can possibly help us, go to that GoFundMe page. It's on your screen now. Even if you donate $1, anything would be very much appreciated by Tristan, and to help him with his medical treatment.
Yeah, no, it's a great cause, and this event was put on purely for that purpose. So if you're enjoying the event, you're here, you're watching it, we do ask that if you can spare it, anything will do. $1, $5, $10, whatever you can spare. Try and get that total up. That's what we're here for. That's what we're about tonight. The ANZCAR admin guys running special ribbons on the cars, and it's all for Tristan Yelland, a long-time iRacer who's having some medical issues and some problems in that area. So we're just trying to help him out. If you're here for the race, by all means, try and help us out with that, with whatever you can spare.
Yeah, definitely. And at the moment, the pace car lights are out, and we've got the 29. He'll start on the inside of Danny G on the outside. Now, it's going to be interesting here. This is the first time we've seen Mr. Granty in action, and he's going to lead the field out, so we'll see what sort of tactics he employs here. Is he going to go on green? Is he going to try and back him up? Let's find out.
Well, we're about to find out, and he's put the foot down. That's his strategy. Blast it away. As soon as you get to the line, blast it away, create a gap, and then try and hold it. But Danny G's, well, he's awake to him, but obviously Lee's gotten the jump on the rest of the field. So Danny G, Edward Foster, Josh Mickelmore, David Webb, Dave Douglas, James Foster, they're all there and they're trying to catch him. They want to lead this race just as much as he does.
Oh, exactly right. And I'll tell you what, Mickelmore tried to make the high line work. It did not. He's dropped into fourth, but now behind him, Dave Douglas is battling it out with David Webb. And Dave slots into that position, or does he? Because Webb is going to have something to say about this as they go too wide into the back straight here. And the number 12 starting to make the high line work.
Yeah, that's David Webb in the number 12, experimenting with the high line in certain parts of the track. He obviously knows the track and knows where he can get away with that, but they're not making much of an impression on Lee at the moment. He's still holding a fairly decent gap over Danny G and Edward Foster there with Danny G, and all they can do at this point is just looking at Lee Granty disappearing off into the distance, holding that gap. They just can't seem to make up the space on him. Now they're back up onto the high line, down onto the low line. So obviously Lee has been at this track before. He knows the line to take because it's working for him.
It certainly is, and I wonder if anyone noticed David Webb there. He made that high line work as he got past Dave Douglas. He's sitting in 5th at the moment, and we can see in front of him we've got Edward Foster on the high line. It's not working for him quite there as David now goes in to take him on the low line, and Josh Micklemore is just ahead of him.
Yeah, back towards the tail end of the field, Jared Farrell and Scott O'Brien are battling, and they've actually got Steve Catalano in front, and the three of them are having a bit of a doozy of a stoush in the back of the field there. They've not given up by any stretch of the imagination, although Jared is still listed as being 2 laps down. He's determined just to keep up with those in front of him and wait for his opportunities. At some point, if there's another yellow flag, then Jared will get the lucky dog, so he'll pull a lap back.
Yeah, well, he's the only one down a lap at the moment, so he's guaranteed the lucky dog, I guess, and all we need is 2 cautions, and he'll be back up there.
Well, that's exactly right. Depending on the outcome and the cause of those couple of cautions, if we get them, then he could very well end up further up the field because others may be down the field from fitting for repairs or whatnot. So, yeah, what I'm actually noticing at the moment is he's actually up alongside a few guys. He's actually making a bit of an inroad through this field at the moment, although he's 2 laps down and out of position. He's actually battling with Danny Stevens at the moment, who's sitting in 12th.
Yeah, right. And he's got right behind him is Weehan Chan in 13th. So you can see here Jared's really holding his own, and it would have been interesting if he hadn't have had that incident, how competitive he would have been. And it's still early though, and he can still get up there. But have a look at this now, the 77. That's Darren O'Brien there. He's trying to move on Jeff Rayleigh. Jeff was weaving up and down the track there, and not sure how much Darren would appreciate that.
Yeah, it's very strange when you consider that Jeff led this race so strongly for the first, at least like the first 10, 12 laps. He just absolutely dominated the front of the field. And all of a sudden it just seemed like he lost pace, lack of grip, and of course that resulted in that slight bit of a lose, and now he's struggling back in the pack.
Certainly is. That car is just not working. You can see there it's a bit loose, and it slides him up into the high line there, and that gave Darren O'Brien a free pass. So Jeff Rayleigh tonight struggling with the grip on that car, but it is a fixed setup race, so you'd think if he's struggling they'd all be struggling. That does not seem the case. Could the rear end damage on Jeff's car be causing any sort of aerodynamic issue? I'm assuming so.
Well, yeah, that's what my concern was when he left the pits and it looked like it was unrepaired, because it was a fairly decent hit right dead centre in the rear end, which is obviously going to affect the aerodynamics for that rear spoiler.
Yeah, well, you can see he's a bit of a sitting duck at the moment. The 66 is now having a look. What's he going to do? Is he going to go the high line, or is he going to go under? He's going to go under because Jeff will. Oh no, Jeff covered him off that time, and that actually made Danny Stevens lose pace here with Jared Farrell, who's 2 laps down, but he's hungry to get another position back here, or getting closer to the front end of the field anyway.
Oh yeah, look, Jared Farrell's absolutely on a flyer, trying to make up some spaces and wait for his chance to pull those laps back from that earlier incident, which, as I said, strangely enough, didn't bring out a pace car. The pace car, for those of you that heard us talk about the pace car, that wasn't from Jared's incident. That was from Jeff Rayleigh, who actually led this race, if you've just joined us, for about the first 10 or 12 laps very strongly, and then all of a sudden seemed to suffer some tyre issues and got loose and copped a slight tap and continued to spin around. That brought out the pace car. but Jeff's got a lot of damage to the rear of that car, and I've got a feeling that's affecting the rear downforce.
I'd say you're dead right there, but I tell you what, it is going off back here in 5th position. We've got James Foster. He just got past Bob King there, but they were too wide there for a while. Now Dave Douglas is coming in on the action, trying to get past. But right behind them in 12th is we've got David Webb, and he's battling with Roger Clark. So Roger's up to 9th already, and he's in quite a big battle at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's a great little battle pack we've got going there. Those 5 cars, they're fairly evenly matched. There's some different lines that are being run by just about all of those drivers, but nobody's pulling away from anybody. James Foster's got a very slight gap over Bob King, but he's got number 11, Dave Douglas, almost right alongside him. And then David Webb is on the inside of Dave Douglas. And we're under caution, yeah. Dave Douglas into the wall.
Oh, yeah, big time. And he was very lucky there. He didn't get hit. He did get sideswiped there. We actually saw him hit the wall on the bumper cam. But we'll jump back and have a look at that. And it doesn't take much, does it, to get these things a bit loose?
No, it doesn't, because I was talking about Dave Douglas at the time being on the outside. And they seem to all be going really well, and Dave seemed to be running a nice line, but I'd say he's just gotten that push and really had nowhere to go but to the outside, and there's only one thing on the outside, that's the wall, and it's caused him to have a spin, cop some damage, and brought out the caution. So we'll see how many actually decide to dive into the pits, and whether Jeff actually thinks it's a good idea to fix that damage now.
Yeah, well, I'd say he will, but I tell you what, Roger, Dave Douglas got into the back of Roger Clark there and nearly spun him into the wall, but Roger held it together. And have a close look at this. Oh, Jared Farrell just missed Dave Douglas by a hair's breadth, but Dave actually had 2 bites at that wall. He hit it the first time, got it straightened up, but then, because he was out in the dirty stuff, it sucked him back up to the high line once again, and the wall said hello for a second time.
Yeah, I noticed that Jared has stayed out. Oh no, there he is there. He's just come into the pits now. I thought that he'd actually stayed out. No, Jared did. Sorry, I'm looking at the number 10 car. It's a similar colour scheme, and that's Scott O'Brien, who's pitted behind a lot of other people. And Jared stayed out, possibly hoping to pick up at least one of those laps. And if he gets the lucky dog, he will pick up one of those laps, which will only put him 1 lap down. And he's showing some fantastic pace at the moment. As you said, Bernie, if he hadn't had that incident, the mind boggles at where he'd be running now, because he's very competitive. The only reason he's down is because he had that incident and kissed the inside wall.
Yeah, we could see Jared there now waiting for the wave by. One person that did not stop, that's Roger Clark. He decided to stay out there, so he's going to lead them away. But as you can see, he does have some rear damage on that car. Now he's coming into the pits to get that car serviced. Jared Farrell also has come back into the pits to get more service on his car. So that's not going to allow him to get that lucky dog, I'd say.
No, he certainly probably won't get the lucky dog now. Not on this caution, at least, because, I obviously thought that that's what he was doing, to stay out, try and get the lucky dog. But he obviously feels that fresh tyres and more fuel is the better way to go. And he's a long way to go in this race still, Bernie, so anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. And a big shout out, folks, to one of our spectators, Eli George. Thank you, Eli. Eli's donated $20 towards the fund, so that brings the total to $460. And we're trying to get to the $500 mark. So once again, Eli George, thank you very much for your generous donation.
Oh, look, that's fantastic stuff. In fact, there's obviously been some donations since I looked at it before the race. When I last saw it late this afternoon, it was at 415. So there's obviously been some donations since then, and that's quite a generous donation from Eli. So thank you very much from everybody involved with this event, and I'm sure Tristan appreciates it. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. He will definitely appreciate that. And it's going to be interesting. Let's have a look at our top 10 as they will be starting. So Lee Granty once again, he just got out of the pits in front of the number 2 Josh Micklemore, who's had a better pit stop this time. Danny G, he'll start on the second row in third with Bob King. Looks like will be fourth. Fifth, Edward Foster, James Foster, and Wee Han Chan will start out at sixth, jumping all over the place here. Jeff Rayleigh out of eighth. Out of ninth, Darren O'Brien, and rounding out your top 10 is Daniel Stevens. And the pace car lights are out. We'll be racing very shortly.
Yeah, I believe that means we got one lap to green, so next time around we'll go green, and Lee Granty back up front again, so he'll control the field as they come away when the pace car pulls off. Yeah, it was a little bit difficult as you were calling that, because the car positions were being sorted out after the pit stops, so that sort of made your life a little bit more difficult there, Bernie.
Yeah, it certainly does. I thought, they're all in order, and then they'll still sort themselves out. But I'll tell you what, Edward Foster, James Foster, brothers. James is the younger, more aggressive brother. Edward, the more wiser old head brother. And here we go, Lee Granty throws the hammer down, and he's off again. And Danny G got a better start. He's all over the back of Josh Micklemore now. 53 up high. That is Edward Foster and Bob King down low. Jeff Rayleigh, he's in front of James Foster. So James was caught napping a bit there.
Yeah, he was. But I was actually noticing back in the field that somebody was really asleep. Number 16, I believe it is. Oh, that's Norman, actually. He got caught out badly on the restart. And he lost 2 or 3 positions and just didn't seem to get away at all.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at that restart from Norman's perspective here to see what's going on. We're under green, he just did not go, did he? It's almost like he was in too high a gear or something.
Yeah, it just really, maybe that's what it was, maybe too high a gear or, but he just got caught out there. But Norman's an experienced racer, normally does a lot of trucks, and races in the Thursday Night Thunder Series for ANZCAR. And so, he'll know that there's a long way to go, and he's not out of it by a long shot. But Nicholas Crawford's not doing too bad a job there. He's all over the back of Craig Lawless, and there's quite a good battle going through the mid-pack. But up the front, Lee Granty still leads this away from Josh Micklemore, and then Bob King, Danny G and Jeff Rahaley make up your top 5. Jeff's actually moving back up the field, still on the lead lap. He's back up to 4th place, so I don't know what's happened since that last pit stop, but it looks like Jeff's found the pace that he had in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, you called that a bit early there, because as you were calling it, he got loose and he gathered it up though. But he had the pace, didn't he? And then all of a sudden, we'll have a look at this. It just let go. There it is. You can see in that corner there, up mid-corner, it let go. And I tell you what, he was very lucky. Danny G was very lucky. He did not get involved in that. Especially
at these speeds. These guys are doing anything up to 315, 318 kilometres an hour. And at those speeds, there's just no room for error. Number 66, Daniel Stevens, has been passed fairly solidly by Jared Farrowell, who's making big inroads into this field. Although still 2 laps down, he's showing tremendous speed.
He certainly is, and I'll tell you what, he's showing his confidence in that cut as well, in not taking the lucky dog and choosing to pit it. He's definitely last in the field. I'm just wondering if his strategy is every safety car or pace car, sorry folks, if he's throwing a set of green boots on this thing and trying to use that to his advantage.
Well, Jared's now passed Wee Han Chan. 2 laps down, and the guy's running like he should be leading the race. It's just a fantastic turn of speed. And as you said, he's obviously got a lot of confidence in the feel of the car. And he's sticking with Jeff at the moment, with Jeff Rahaley in the 27 car. And at the moment that, he's closing on him now, so I think you're going to see Jared pass Jeff very shortly. Though Jared's gone up high on the track.
Tell you what, mate, every time you talk them up, they come unstuck. So I tell you what, if I ever get in a car and race, please don't call my name out.
Yeah, look, the commentators curse. And every time I actually talk about how well somebody's going, something goes horribly wrong. Yeah, I think I'll just shut up from now on.
Yeah, could that be could it be like any side draft or anything taking the air off the car? Could that be affecting it?
I think it's just purely the push because of the degrees on the banking of the track. He's kept the foot into it behind Jeff, and I'm guessing what's happened is that because you keep the foot into it coming through that turn, it will push the car to the outside. You need to actually lift a little or feather the throttle a bit to just try and take just enough of the edge off the speed so that you can maintain that line on either the low or mid-track, because it looked to me like he kept the foot flat, sitting behind Jeff, trying to take advantage of some sort of draft, and unfortunately the banking on the track has bitten him, but he managed to keep it off the wall. So all he's done really is just go back a little. He hasn't copped any damage, he hasn't had an accident or any kind of contact, so that's the good thing.
I just saw a bit of smoke there, and I'm not sure what that was from, but we're still under green here, folks. Lap 51 out of 200. It's still being led at the moment by the number 29, Lee Gantry, but Josh Mickelmore is not very far behind him at all. In fact, 200ths of a second or two separates those two. Bob King sitting in third, 1.5 seconds down. Then 4 seconds down we have Edward Foster. He's being chased down by his younger brother James Foster, who's about 5/10ths of a second behind him. And then we've got Danny G, Jeff Rayleigh, Darren O'Brien, the 77 in 8th, 9th, Daniel Stevens, and rounding out the top 10 is Steve Catalano.
And number 11 is Weihan Chan. 12 is Roger Clark, still plugging away at it, but 9.1 seconds off the lead. And there's a positional change. I've just lost Roger. He's gone ahead of Weihan Chan, that's what it was. And then David Webb sits in 13th, Scott O'Brien 14th, Nicholas Crawford 15th, Dave Douglas 16th, Craig Lawless 17th, Norman Clark back in 18th after that lacklustre restart, and Jared Farrell, who's putting in a hell of a performance, sits 19th but 2 laps down due to an incident.
And we just had Scott O'Brien heavily into the wall there on the infield. It has not brought out a pace car though, which is quite surprising, because last time we saw an incident like that it did, and that car is not going anywhere.
Yeah, obviously the position of the vehicle didn't affect the race, so the flag wasn't thrown on it. But it is surprising but that Jared Farrell's incident early in the race was he lost it, headed in, and nosed it into the infield wall, and that didn't bring out a caution either. So. Yeah,
we're just having a look at this replay here. And he managed to get 3 bites. Well, the wall managed to get 3 bites out of the number 10 there. And I'll tell you what, Steve, that car is smoking badly. And we always know that smoking's bad for you, but in this case, it could be really bad.
Yeah, just watching him in the pits at the moment, Scott O'Brien sitting in there. Obviously, the amount of damage he copped, and he's just gone a lap down in 18th. So what this will quite likely do, he's gone 2 laps down, so you'll probably see Jared Farrell come up ahead of him. But until he gets a lucky dog, I don't see him being able to pull those 2 laps back.
Yeah, that fast repair is going to replace the motor that he's blown by the looks of it. At the front, though, we've got Gantry and Mickelmore now going at it. And we'll see what the number 2 can do. He's got a good run here. He's going to the high line as they come down at the start-finish tri-oval here. And what's he going to do? High line. I think that's the only option he's got, because Lee's hugging the inside line.
Yeah, there are certain spots on this track where I wouldn't try that, but at the same time, now that Lee has come back up in front, and Josh is actually following him through, getting some draft off him now, as they take a more traditional line that way and back around through along the main straight into turn 1, and they're just about nose to tail, but there is a long gap back to 3rd place, which is Bob King.
And we're just riding here with Josh Mickelmore up the back under tow here, 310 kilometres an hour. He drops it down to around about 280, 281 kilometres an hour through mid-corner. So, there's not a lot of changes. A car, we're under yellow. Who was that? I just saw through the cockpit cam a car on the inside of the track.
Yeah, there's a car on the front straight smoking badly.
Do we have a name? It's not Jeff Rayleigh again, was it?
No, I'm just trying to figure out who it was, actually. It's happened basically as they've come across the start-finish line.
Yeah, I saw it there. We'll try and work out who that was for you folks and see if we can get a replay. And I think it was Jeff Rayleigh.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Jeff, and yeah, it would be. He's now dropped right back down to 17th, so it must have been Jeff Rayleigh losing it again, and the field's going to pit under caution and take fuel and tyres once again.
Yeah, so just have a look at this replay here, and Jeff had Jared behind him, and just want to see what's going on here.
Well, Jared's now got the lucky dog, and he's gotten the pass for the wave by. So he'll pick up one of those laps, which is what he's been waiting for. Jeff's, I'm imagining the smoke that I saw was purely tyre smoke because he's sitting behind the pace car at the moment.
Yeah, we're just having a look. He got into the wall on the outside there and did his usual. That's pretty much a replay of the last time the yellows come out, but this time he ended up sliding it all through the tri-oval and parking it on the circuit there. Oh boy, as he was trying to clear it up, the cars were coming down and just avoiding him because he was rolling up on the track. Yeah,
because I actually saw it because we were so engrossed in the battle between Lee Granty and Josh Micklemore in first and second, and as they came across the start-finish line, I spotted Jeff Rayleigh sitting on the grass just off the track surface, smoking and facing the wrong direction. So I just didn't actually get a good look at who the car was at that time. So we know now that it was Jeff, and he's now pitted.
Okay, and let's see if he's going to get that car fast repaired. They do get one fast repair, and I think he's trying to hang on to it as long as he can. But tell you what, that car has had, what's your favourite quote? More hits than Elvis?
Yeah, more hits than Elvis. And what I'm actually noticing is Jared Farrell's now pulled back one of those laps, and Jeff Rahaley's gone down a lap. And with the pace that Jared's been showing, that he's one lap down, and there's still quite a way to go. We've still got about 2/3 to 3/4 of this race left. So I'm expecting to see Jared towards the front of the field somewhere by the end of this race.
Yeah, well, the way he's going, he's, as you said, he's only one lap down, got that back, and we'll see what he can do. I'm just having a look through there. Everyone did opt for the pits there. Looks like we might have lost the number 10, Scott O'Brien. Looks like he has parked that car and walked away. Now, I think that was the car that he blew the motor on, and the safe pace car didn't come out, so they've decided to call it a night.
Yeah, that's right, Bernie. He went to the infield, nosed it into the wall pretty heavily. Didn't bring out a pace car, but he obviously had some engine problems. It was smoking pretty badly, and he pitted it. But I'm guessing that he's now gone 8 laps down, and I don't see him there. So I'm guessing that he's actually decided that it was going to take too long to actually repair the damage. There was too much of it, and he's decided to put the car into the transporter for the night.
Yeah, and he'll no doubt go and find somewhere nice to watch the rest of this race. And you never know, he might go and find one of the spectators and sit on top of their motorhomes on the infield, join their barbecue, and have a good night of it.
Well, yep, it's probably the best way to do it. I mean, yeah, he certainly will just simply accept that that's the way the race has gone, because that's racing. And as disappointing as it may be, we certainly didn't see that he was involved in anything with anyone. It looks like he's done it all on his own. So he's obviously just accepted that's the way it is, and he's pulled the pin. and he's going to sit and spectate the rest of this fantastic event, which, if you've just joined us, this is the Tristo 300. As we go to green, we're doing this for Tristan Yellen, raising some funds for Tristan's medical problems, so that he can help him pay his bills a bit. And if you can donate, we're going to put up a GoFundMe address on the screen at some point, and if you can go to that address and donate anything you can spare, whether it's $1, $5, $10, we don't care. Get into it, support Tristan, help somebody out who's a long-term iRacer who really needs the community to get behind him.
Yeah, he certainly does. Poor Tristan's battling a bit at the moment, isn't he? So any help, and the money's basically going to help get him to his treatment, because it's been costing him quite a lot of money apparently, and he's trying to raise money to get him to the treatment.
Yeah, look, I've sort of had that sort of an issue myself. I don't know as far as the actual problem itself. I don't have half the problems that Tristan's got, but it can be expensive, is what I'm saying. All the pills and the transport to the doctors and doctor bills, it mounts up. So what we're trying to do, ANZCAR have put this event together to raise some funds to help Tristan out. So if you can donate, that would be fantastic. We're getting $1 a lap under green tonight from MFR, and they've been very generous in donating that. They're going to match green lap for $1. So if we end up with a couple of hundred green laps, we're going to get a couple of $100 for Tristan, but we still need the viewers to help out. Donate if you haven't already, that would be so much appreciated, and Tristan is really thankful that the community is getting behind him tonight, Bernie.
Yeah, fantastic. And while you were talking there, we saw Josh Mickelmore come up on the inside of Lee Gantry and take back that position. And we'll see now how Josh goes out front. In third, we've got Bob King, still in fourth. The brotherly love continues. That is Edward Foster, 53, trying to teach his younger brother some lessons, and that's the number 14, James Foster. But I don't know who the teacher is here and who the master is, but we'll find out by the end of the night.
Oh, yeah, they seem to actually alternate. They seem to take turns. I've not actually seen either Edward or James race in these vehicles before, most especially at this track. But at this point, we've got Edward in fourth and James in fifth. So there's do you think these guys are out for blood to beat the other races? When it's your brother, you've got to win. It's do or die stuff.
Exactly right. And meanwhile, Danny G, he's battling it out with Steve Catalano in the 67. Then Darren O'Brien in the 77 is just behind. But here comes Catalano. He's having a look. He's slid it a little bit high, and that's not going to help his cause.
No, but considering that he qualified very poorly and actually made the statement that he was going to have to wait for other drivers to have an error or an incident for it to do him any good and move up the field, he's doing pretty well now. He's gone from about 19th up to 7th, so he's actually doing pretty well. Jared Farrell, who's still running very competitively, but unfortunately still back in 18th, the lap down.
Yeah, and he's joined by Jeff Rayleigh, who's now also a lap down after that last issue. He hasn't had, has he? Let's have a look at the rear end. I don't think he's repaired that rear end yet, unless he's had another bite taken out of his tail. But he's a lap down at the moment as well, and he will get the lucky dog if another pace car comes out, which, by the way, we've been running tonight. I think it's almost certain we will see one.
Yeah, I'd say we'll see another one at some point. I wouldn't expect us to go the duration of this race from this point on without another pace car. Yeah, it's a pace car in NASCAR, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pace car.
Yeah, I almost corrected myself then and I was wrong. I am right, it's a pace car, and I think we will see another one at some point. Yeah, Roger Clark, David Webb having a bit of a battle for 11th and 12th there, with Danny Stevens just in front of them in 10th place.
Yeah, and we're riding with Steve Catalano at the moment. He's up 10 positions, sitting in 7th. and just swing the camera around. We can see him there. Sorry about the shakiness, it's a bit bumpy in his car, but you can see him there working in the office and seeing how smooth these NASCAR drivers are as he's just feathering it through the corners, letting it find its way.
He's actually he's finding a nice line there, sitting behind Danny G, and he's got Darren O'Brien right behind him in 77, who's also trying to pick up some draft as they take the outside line coming down the back straight.
And we can see now the 77, he's on the back of Catalano, taking the high line. That's not working at the moment, but here comes Dave Douglas again. Dave's had his fair share of incidents tonight, but he's kept him on the lead lap, and he's sitting there in ninth, and he's showing once again that he has the pace here.
Oh yeah, and he's actually making a move up the inside of Darren O'Brien, and I think he's going to have the pace. He'll have the legs to get through, and pushes Darren O'Brien back a spot.
And you can just see there in the bumper cam, if some folks are wondering why one time the bumper cam is showing a grey and another time it's not, they're two different types of cars, and what you're actually seeing, that grey is the inside of the racing car's bumper. You'd think they'd paint it for us, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's pretty inconsiderate. Up the front of the field, we've still got Josh Micklemore leading with Lee Grandy keeping him honest. And then Bob King, Edward and James, the Foster brothers, battling it out there. Danny G, Steve Catalano, Dave Douglas, Darren O'Brien, Daniel Stevens in 10th place, and Roger Clark and David Webb are following through on that one.
Yeah, you can see here the 66 at the moment, that's Daniel Stevens. He's having a look on the inside of Darren O'Brien. Now he gets it. Darren actually lifted there, I think, because he was finding his way towards the wall and he's going backwards. And you can just see one minor mistake on this track, you lose all that momentum, and that's what it's about, isn't it? This is really what I would call momentum racing. And if you lose that, you drop positions.
Yep, pretty much exactly what I said prior to the race. If you're not going to lift your foot at turn 2 has a bit of push, turn 3 has a lot of push. So, and I being on the outside line, coming. Oh, and we've got an incident. Roger Clark into the wall.
Sorry, I was clenching there because we're actually riding in roll bar here, so we'll go back to that. Sorry to jump in there, Steve.
Yeah, no, all good. I don't know who the car was that came together with Roger Clark, but he's been bounced into the wall, and we're under caution, Bernie.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at that, and it was a pretty nasty incident, that's for sure.
I think it was number 12, David Webb, because he and Roger were battling at the time.
Yeah, we'll just have a look at this, and I think Roger actually got into a car that had slowed already, that was out in front of him. Yeah, it was the 14, James Foster.
Sorry, James Foster, pardon me. Yeah, I thought that was Danny G, but he's number 13. James Foster, who for some reason seems to have slowed, and Roger's gotten into him. Obviously, he's moved across into David Webb, so I didn't know how the two came together, but that's obviously what it was. David's then dropped left, and Roger's gone right to the high side and into the wall.
Yeah, we're having a look at the replay here of James. He actually lost it coming through the tri-oval. He straightened it up, and he's cut straight through the grass there, doing Dukes of Hazzard jumps, and brought it straight back up onto the track. But when he did that, he brought it straight out in the front of Norman, and or Roger, sorry, and he had nowhere to go but into the back of him. Yeah,
nasty. Certainly the sort of thing it can happen. It's just as simple as that. People are pushing on a track like this. It's racing. You go hard or you go home.
Exactly right. And that's what we saw there. The thing that amazed me the most out of that incident was that James kept it straight across the grass and he was getting airborne, and the car sort of settled very nicely on the grass. And but unfortunately for Roger, when he rejoined in front of him, Roger was all, flat out and didn't have a lot of time to react, and there you go.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at David Webb's car. It doesn't look like it's actually copped all that much damage from... I'm pretty sure that Roger came together with David, who was down on his inside. But I can't see a lot of damage to David's car, although I haven't had a look at Roger's Xfinity car yet, so I'm not quite sure how bad the damage on Roger's car is.
It looks like James has brought his car back in and used his fast repair, because all of a sudden it looks pristine once again. Have a look at Roger. Well, it's a different story for Roger, because I think he's used his fast repair. He's turned the car off. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him hang up the helmet at this point and walk away, because he could be there for a little while.
The right hand outside of that car at the back is substantial. It's a bit of a dog leg.
Yeah, we'll bring Roger up and see what we can hear. Hopefully it's a G-rated show, folks. Hi, Roger. Have you got time to talk, mate?
Hello.
Yeah, sorry to bring you up at this time. We just saw that big incident, and we're just wondering if you've got any fast repairs left on that car to get it back out again.
I tell you what, I do have a fast repair left, but the muppet that I am, I turned it off, not expecting to be involved in the crash, so now I've got to sit there for 32 minutes. So I'm pretty much out of the contention.
Wow. And we had a look at that incident, and you didn't have a lot of time there to react, did you?
I had no time to react. I was actually... Daniel and I were actually just trying to run as a team, just trying to make up spots. Both Daniel had just taken a little bit of damage on his car, and I had a little bit from the incident with Dave Douglas earlier on. And we were just trying to run and sort of slipstream and make some places and everything like that. And I mean, basically, I came around and I saw the car on the grass, and I thought, oh, yep, he's going to hopefully stay off the track. But I mean, you're running at that sort of speed, and you've got, you don't get out of the gas, and the guy behind you runs into you, so just sort of kept it in it and hoped for the best. And sort of turns a custard at that exact moment.
Sorry, Bernie, I was just going to ask him, has he got any idea what it's going to take to get the body repaired? Because it's not looking real good at the moment there, Roger.
32 minutes, it says.
Okay, I think about the best response I can give to that is ouch.
Yeah, and we'll leave you there, Roger, because we're under green once again, mate. So if you do drop out, come up to the comm box. You can help call the race.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
No worries. So, folks, that was Roger Clark. And I tell you what, Steve, he was in quite a good mood considering what had just happened to him.
He's a long-time racer. It's not the first time that he's had this happen, and he knows the way it goes, and sometimes these things happen, and even obviously was feeling jovial enough that he referred to himself as a muppet for turning off his fast repair. So,
yeah, and what's going on here? We've got a lot of guys coming in the pits. Oh, the 27's around. I think we've had another incident, and what is going on here? Jared Farrell's in the pits as well.
Not really sure. We're under green conditions, so I don't know what's happened there. Yeah. Considering that they've just had the chance to pit, and Jared's now down 6 laps. So something has happened there. Roger's down 5, Jared's down 6, and Jeff Rahaley's down 2 laps all of a sudden.
Yeah, we're looking at Jeff. He was out of the gas, and what's he done? He's parked it on the grass and got out of it. So we've got him as retired. Yeah. Jared Farrell retired. So I'm not sure if they've come together somewhere, but they've both limped back to the pits and called it a night.
Well, that's very, very unfortunate because Jared was showing some really good pace. It was just that early incident that put him behind the 8 ball. and he clawed one of the laps back. With such a long way to go, I honestly expected to see him get back onto the lead lap and put in a concerted and an honest effort for a good strong finish in the front half of this field. But obviously that's not the case, and it's not to be. So we continue on with Josh Micklemore leading from Lee Granty, and there's actually quite a gap between first and second. Edward Foster is third, Danny G fourth, and Bob King rounding out the top five.
Yeah, we're having a look at Bob now on the inside of Danny G here. Danny got that high line working just a little bit, cut across the nose of him, and defended that attack. But the 77 now, Darren O'Brien, is on the march forward as well. Wee Han Chan, he's back up to 7th position, and he's got Dave Douglas behind him. Steve Catalano still battling with Dave, and then we've got Daniel Stevens, James Foster now back in 11th position and starting to move back up through the field again.
Yeah, James obviously lost all those positions through that last incident, which caused the last safety caution with the pace car. So James is going to make his life a whole lot more difficult with getting back towards the front now. But if there's one thing that I've actually seen throughout the ANZCAR Thunder series, Bernie, you don't write off James Foster. If he's on the track, he's a chance.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at that incident, I'm still wondering whether he should have re-entered the track the way he did, or whether he didn't have any control of that car at that point.
Look, I'm guessing that the way that he speared across the grass, I'm going to guess he was a passenger. There was probably not a lot he could do, and if he'd actually fought the car to try and regain control, he may well just made it worse.
Yeah, he could have looped it. So I was just wondering, that's all. I know he didn't do it on purpose, but I was just wondering what the etiquette is with that sort of thing. But anyway, let's drop it. We're here to raise money for charity, and let's continue calling this race. So at the moment, we've got Josh Micklemore leading, Lee Granty in second. Third, we've got Edward Foster. Danny G sitting in fourth. They're spreading out quite a bit here, folks. 51 now. He's defending against Darren O'Brien. And then further down, we can see Dave Douglas is battling with Daniel Stevens and the beautifully presented 15 of Nicholas Crawford.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the gaps opening up between first to second to third to fourth to fifth. They really are starting to spread out a bit, Bernie.
They certainly are, and we've got 17 cars running, well 15 really, because Roger Clark, he hasn't given up, but as he said, 32 minutes of damage to repair on that car, and had the fast repair but didn't have time to turn it on.
Yeah, look, I'm expecting that we may see Roger back again. He'll want to actually complete this race. He's one of the ANZCAR admins and one of the people responsible for organising the event. So he's going to want to see this through. He would have sort of gotten used to the idea that any chance of finishing towards the front's gone for him now. But he's going to want to finish the race. He's one of the people responsible for it, and he's not just simply going to park it and walk away.
Yeah, I'm thinking outside the box here. I guess, don't worry, because that will be mandatory repairs, which means he can't leave the pits, can he? If it was optional repairs, he could probably go around a lap and then switch the fast repair on.
Exactly, yeah. If it's mandatory repairs, then he's got no choice. Optional repairs, it will allow you to go. With the amount of damage I saw on that car, it was the whole right-hand side, the rear right-hand corner. As I mentioned, the thing looked like a dog's leg, so it wasn't very good. And to be honest, he'll just sit there, he'll repair it, he'll come back out on track, and he'll just run around and have some fun and burn some rubber.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the rest of them are doing at the moment. We're riding on the fender cam here of James Foster. He's got Wee Han Chan ahead of him, and now he's getting a bit of a run, and Wee Han's giving him some room here. and this might move him up a position.
Yeah, he's certainly he's come up 2 positions from, well, just a few laps ago. So as I said, if James is on track, don't write him off. He's trying to look for the opportunity to get past on Wehan Chan. And Steve Catalano's a bit of a surprise at this point because, as I mentioned, he was basically expecting that the only way he was going to get anywhere tonight was through accidents. Well, we've had a couple, and he has benefited because Steve Catalano, from such a really poor qualifying lap, is now back up to 7.
Yeah, I have a feeling he was foxing a little bit there, but he's definitely got the pace, hasn't he, tonight? He's up to 6. He just got past Darren O'Brien, the number 77. Wehan Chan is coming along behind them as well. So he's definitely holding his own out there in that, what is it, a Chevy, I guess?
Yeah, number 17 is Wehan, that's a Chevy. But I'm looking at the Toyota Camry of Darren O'Brien at the moment. Darren seems to, certain parts of the track he's quick, and other parts of this circuit, yeah, he just seems to struggle for speed. Wehan's just made a pass on him, and Darren's just dropped back to 8th, and Wehan up to 7th with Steve Catalano in 6th.
Sorry, I was just reading the comments there. One of the viewers wanted to know how they can join the series. Well, this series is a one-off charity event tonight, but we run the ANZCAR NASCAR trucks on a Thursday night, the Thursday Night Thunder. If you're interested, you can contact Edward Foster or Roger Clark, and if you're in the Australian New Zealand Club, you can go over to the Oval Australian New Zealand forum thread, and they will also help you out. The other way you can find them, of course, is search the leagues and search for ANZCAR, ANZCAR, and join them there, and you'll get all the information from there. But we'd love to see you all out on the track and enjoying your oval racing.
And the other place you can find them is also, if you can't locate them through the iRacing forum, on Facebook. It's facebook.com/ANZCAR1. That's the Facebook page for the ANZCAR people who organised tonight for Tristan Yelland and run a Monday night K&N series thanks to Advanced PC Simulations and RRTV, and Thursday Night Thunder covered by RRTV, as Bernie also has already mentioned, which we run the NASCAR trucks.
That's right, and the Monday night series, that's a feeder series, isn't it, for the Thursday Night Thunder? So
yeah, the Monday night series, it's pretty much the development series. We run the K&N Pro cars in that. We were running trucks, and then we started a new series of K&N cars. But that's Monday nights. That's pretty much a development series. So if you're new to NASCAR, that's probably the best way to get an introduction. We're under caution again, Bernie.
We certainly are, and they caught me napping because I don't know why we're under caution.
There was a car at the side of the track on the outside, on the high side, that was smoking, and I'm just trying to see which car it was.
I'm just having a look further back here to see if we can pick up any smoking cars here.
David Webb, I think. The car looks a little bit bent, and I know it was a dark coloured car, so I think it might have been David Webb, number 12.
Okay, let's have a look. Well, he seems to be going pretty quick here, but let's jump back and see if we can work this one out, folks. Yeah, I don't think it was David. Okay, so I'll go over and see if we can pick up exactly who that was.
Yeah, all I saw was a dark coloured vehicle sitting on the high side of the track, smouldering. I was actually following a couple of the front runners.
Yeah, because whatever's happened, that car is not in the pits and has continued around. But while that was going on, the lap before, a new fastest lap was set by Josh Mickelmore at 27.156.
Wow, that's really is better than qualifying speed. So, but I imagine that. Well, I was going to say about the draft, but they've been fairly spread out. So David Webb's now pitted, and the rest of the field has done so, and they are re-entering the track.
Certainly are, and I'll tell you what, the battle for pit road was won by Josh Mickelmore this time, but Lee Granty, he was right on his rear bumper as they crossed the pit lane line there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on this restart because this is going to bunch them up. They were getting fairly spread out. This will bunch them up, and we've already seen that Lee can get a good spurt of speed going from behind the pace car when it pulls off and put a gap where Josh will probably try and do the same, but he's got Edward Foster right behind him, Lee Granty, and Edward's no slouch, so he's very experienced. Weehan Chan's up to 4th place, so that's a great run for Weehan Chan.
Yeah, it certainly is, and one of the viewers wanted to know if we're covering off the super skips tonight. No, we aren't broadcasting that event tonight, unfortunately, because we've got the very special broadcast of the Tristo 300, which is a charity event, so we have put our resources into this. However, 2 weeks from now, we'll definitely have the super skips on, and if you want to see the super skips in action from a driver's perspective, jump on over. I'll get it up here for you folks. No, I won't. Go to twitch.tv, the top split, and that's Alex McKellar. He normally live streams that race. The other one is Sam Catakazinos Racing, may also be live streaming the super skips tonight from their cockpit. So looking at this at the moment, we've got Josh Mickelmore. He will be leading the field out. We'll have Lee Granty next to him. Edward Foster's up into 3rd. He'll start on the inside, and he'll have Weehan Chan on the outside of him. Then we've got Steve Catalano starting from the 3rd row, and on the outside of him will be James Foster, who's going to prove me they look like they're the wrong way around. And then we'll have Danny G and Nicholas Crawford starting in the 4th row.
Behind Danny is Daniel Stevens in 8th place, Nicholas Crawford, Dave Douglas, Norman Clark up to 11th, David Webb sitting in 12th place with Darren O'Brien, Craig Lawless, Bob King. I think we've lost Jeff Rahaley. Roger Clark still in the pits repairing that damage. And I believe we've also lost Jared Farrell and Scott O'Brien.
Yeah, so our retirements tonight, folks. Bob King has just retired by the looks of Jeff Rayleigh. Bob was probably the car you saw smouldering up the top there. Jared Farrell and Scott O'Brien.
Yeah, it probably was. It being a dark car, the first one I spotted in the area was David Webb. So, yeah, apologies to David. Certainly wasn't pointing the finger. I was just trying to figure out who that was. And we're under green, Bernie, and away we go. This is going to be interesting because I don't recall seeing how good a start Josh gets, but so far pretty darn good. Lee Grant, who's also a good starter from behind the pace car, is going with him. Edward Foster and Weehan Chan not letting them get away. Steve Catalano staying with them as well, rounding out the top 5. Although it looks like there was just a little bit of a gap open up there as Lee Granty seemed to take a higher line than Josh Mickelmore, who put a little bit of an opening up right between them. But they're certainly not spreading out the way they were.
Yeah, definitely not. And it's great to see now Weehan Chan is coming up to try to join his teammate Lee Granty. Both Singapore drivers here tonight, and they're from Singapore, but they love their oval racing. It's great to see them out tonight having a go.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic to get the international drivers in. Well, when I say international, I mean ANZCAR is Australia and New Zealand, so that's pretty well international as it is. But to get the guys from the Asian region over here for our NASCAR races, and especially for a charity event like this for Tristan, is just fantastic to see, and I'm really happy that they're both doing fairly well.
I'll tell you what, looking at the back straight back there while you were talking, I nearly jumped in because we had Catalano, Weehan Chan and James Foster making it 3 wide down the back straight, and Weehan Chan went very high, and the other two skirted below him. Now while he's trying to recover from that, Danny G has made a move up to 6th position as well, and he's now starting to close in on Foster.
I've done it again, have I? Talking about having the Asian NASCAR races here, and one of them makes a mistake. Absolutely shocking, I am.
Yeah, you're definitely strong in the force tonight, mate.
Okay, who do I not want to win this race? And I'll sit and talk about them. Maybe that's how it works.
Oh, dearie me. Maybe you're right. We'll try that theory and see.
I wouldn't intentionally put the knockers on anybody, Bernie. But I think I'll try not to praise anybody or their efforts tonight, because every time I do that, it happens. So, but at this point, look, we've got a little bit of a gap opening up between Edward Foster and Steve Catalano. But as you mentioned, there was a little bit of a go wide in the backfield there, and I think Steve Catalano may have been involved in part of that. But the front three are still fairly close, but there's a gap certainly opening up between 2nd and 3rd. In fact, a large gap now.
Yeah, I'm just having a look back here. The 77 is having a great battle with David Webb, the number 12, and of course Dave Douglas is involved in this as well, because Webb's just closed up behind him.
Still got 1st and 2nd fairly close, Josh Michelmore and Lee Granty. Edward Foster's closed up the gap between himself and Lee. Edward running in 3rd, but there's a noticeable gap between Edward and Steve Catalano, and Steve Catalano running 4th. James Foster up to 5th place. There you go, Bernie.
Okay. Next yellow, James Foster into the wall. So we're riding here with Darren O'Brien, and you can see now he's going on the inside of Webb, and we'll jump to the external cam here as I go 2 wide into turn 1, and it looks like the 77 might have got it. No, he hasn't. Webb comes back on him. Tell you what, Webb got an awesome run there.
He did, and he's actually put a gap on Darren O'Brien, but he's making Dave Douglas's life a bit miserable at the moment.
Yeah, he's all over the back of him like a rash, isn't he? And he got a really good run off there, and I thought he was going to have a crack at Dave, but he just couldn't find a gap there to make a move. And meanwhile, further up front here, you can see there's a battle for 3. I'm just trying to work them out. Let's stay with this battle anyway, folks. So it's a 77 v 12 v 11 at the moment. Here comes 77, and that is Darren O'Brien on the inside. Can he make this move this time, as he also gets Dave Douglas? They're almost 3 wide here. In fact, they will be. No, they weren't. I thought they were about to go 3 wide, sorry.
Like that was a fantastic turn of speed from Darren O'Brien, because Dave Douglas and David Webb were leaving him behind, and all of a sudden Darren's just come from nowhere up onto the back of David Webb, and then put the move on him on the inside and pulled up alongside Dave Douglas as well. Looked like he was actually going to take the position away from Dave Douglas, and just seemed to suddenly they just spurted through, and he's dropped behind again.
Yeah, and while you're talking, once again, Darren O'Brien, he went on the inside apron there, got the car a little bit loose, and he's dropped way back into the clutches now of the 15 Nicholas Crawford, and once again it underlines the small mistakes in oval racing can cost you big time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was actually concentrating on the two in front of him and didn't notice that he'd actually put the wheels on the inside line and over the line there. So that's obviously, yeah, that will cost you speed for sure. You just drop it just a little bit too far across that white line and you lose so much momentum.
Certainly do, but one person that isn't losing momentum is the number 12. He is absolutely bolted now. He's slingshot past Dave Douglas. Dave's falling into the hands of Nicholas Crawford, who's showing a turn of speed. But yeah, David Webb's on the march towards the front.
Well, number 66, Daniel Stevens, has actually got his eyes on Darren O'Brien in the 77 green car at the moment. And he's slowly eating away at the back of Darren O'Brien. So Daniel Stevens, I expect to move up a spot fairly soon. In fact, he just has.
Yeah, I think Darren's in a bit of trouble out there because since he just nudged that apron, got it a bit loose, I'm not sure if he's lost confidence in his car, but he does not have the speed he had about 3 laps ago.
I'm wondering if he's having a bit of tyre trouble with grip, Bernie, actually.
Yeah, well, the tyres would be well and truly going off at this point in time. Lap 127 of 200. Just trying to work out how long we've been under green for, and I'll do a bit of math. So
yeah, I was just wondering about that myself, and how long it's been since Darren would have had the chance to actually pit and get fresh rubber. I don't know whether I imagine he pitted last time around with everybody else, but yeah. I don't know for sure. He just seems to be suffering more than others.
Yeah, well, we're 18 laps into this green flag run now, so if he didn't, I'm just having a look at the 77. He pitted, he's done 6 pit stops, and I'll find out when he last pitted for us.
Okay, and I've just got my eyes on Daniel Stevens at the moment, who's being a bit of a mover in the field. He's actually chasing down David Webb, Dave Douglas and Nicholas Crawford at the moment. Daniel Stevens running in 11th position. And Josh Mickelmore continues to lead from Lee Granty, Edward Foster, Steve Catalano, James Foster in 5th position still. Weihan Chan, Daniel G, David Webb, Dave Douglas, Nicholas Crawford in 10th. That rounds out your top 10. And then we have Daniel Stevens, Darren O'Brien, Norman Clark in 13th, Craig Lawless 14th, and that's the first of our drivers that are not on the lead lap, is Craig Lawless. Bob King, who is, I believe we've actually lost Bob, he's retired. Jeff Rahaley's retired. Roger Clark's still in the pits as far as I'm aware. And we've had the retirement of Jared and Scott quite some time ago. Josh Mickelmore opened up a little bit of a gap over Lee Granty at the moment, but then there's an even longer gap back to Edward Foster in 3rd place. And Steve Catalano still trying to get onto the back of Edward Foster.
And James Foster's now defending against Weihan Chan. So I've had a look at our telemetry here. Darren O'Brien, the last time he pitted was with the rest of the field. That was on lap 108. We went green on lap 110. Okay,
so unless it's something to do with Darren's driving style, he shouldn't really be suffering any more than anybody else. But all indications are that he's lacking a bit of grip and a bit of tyre life. So I'm not really sure what could have caused that, but he's certainly slowly moving back in the field.
Yeah, I reckon he when that car got loose there, I think it gave him a bit of a scare, and he's not sure if he can trust the handling of that car at the moment. But at the moment, the number 12, David Webb, is on the outside now of James Foster, trying to make that high line work. And Weihan Chan just got past James, and now the number 12 has taken a high line and got past the 14 as well.
In fact, he's not only past James Foster, he's all over the back of Weihan Chan. David Webb appears to be on a real charge, and he's going to move down to the low line. and he's going to take the position, I think.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he has confidence in his car, hasn't he? Because he took James on the high line and then he took Weehan on the low line. So that bodes well for the handling of his car.
Well, that also moved David Webb up to fifth position behind Steve Catalano. Edward Foster still holding down third, Lee Grandy in second, and Josh Micklemore continues to lead with a slight gap over Lee Granty.
And here comes Danny G and Dave Douglas here. They've caught right up in the back of James Foster. What are they going to do? Dave Douglas is boxing in Danny G. Now, oh man, this is getting pretty full on here.
Yeah, I'm also taking a look a bit further back. Norman Clark also looking for the chance to make a move on Darren O'Brien in the 77 car. Norman's all over the back of Darren at the moment, and I've got a feeling he's going to take him very shortly. So all Darren's continued to do is move back in the field. He'd be praying for a pace car at this point, and Norman has just passed him. So Norman Clark moves up into 13th position, pushing 12th position, pushing Darren O'Brien back into 13th. So whatever the problem is that Darren's having, it seems to continue, and his best thing that can happen for him at the moment would be a pace car, but we certainly don't want to see it at anybody else's expense.
Yeah, you can tell he's in trouble out there because he didn't even try to defend that position. He moved to the high line, pretty much lifted and let Norman through. But here comes James Foster, Dave Douglas battling it out side by side. Then behind them we have the 13. That is Danny G, and Nicholas Crawford was also side by side. So all of a sudden we have a battle pack of 4. And we can see Danny G there just boxing in Crawford and trying to make that position work for him.
Yeah, David Webb's past Steve Catalano now. He's really on a charge here, David Webb. He's off after Edward Foster now for third place, and it's some tremendous pace he's getting out of that car right now.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? While other cars tend to be falling off, cars like this, the track has really come to this car, David Webb, and he's absolutely on fire. Look at the last lap time. We'll have a look. He did a 29.018, so it wasn't the fastest time, but it's definitely quicker than quite a few guys out here at the moment.
Well, it's probably tyre life, Bernie. If the way he's driven has looked after his tyres, then he's going to have the pace that we're seeing. It's been so long since a pace car period, and some people have pushed harder than others. David's obviously looked after his tyres, and he's managed to stay on the lead lap, and he's up to 4th place, and he's doing really well at the moment. Edward Foster is still nearly 3 seconds ahead though, so there's still a fair gap there.
Yeah, it'll take him a while to close that up, but meanwhile Weehan just made a move on Steve Catalano, so Weehan's now up to 5th position. Looking further back, we've got Dave Douglas in 11th. He's still battling it out with Nicholas Crawford, and James Foster, he's fading as well, and almost falling into the clutches of Danny G here in the number 13.
Yeah, lap 142, and the positional changes going on, I wouldn't have expected to be this way at this point of the race. There's probably more positional changes now than there were 42 laps ago.
Yeah, well, as you said a moment ago, some of them look like they've burnt their tyres up, and others have looked after their tyres, which I think is what's going on out here, because of 19 now. That's Craig Lawless. He's making a move on the 66, Daniel Stevens. No, he's not. He's tucking back in and making a liar out of him.
Yeah, Craig Lawless is a lap down at the moment, so he's just good to see him pushing on. But he'll be aware that he's a lap down on the car in front of him. I've got him sitting behind. Well, the list is actually incorrect at the moment because he's sitting behind Danny Stevens, but positionally he actually has Norman Clark in between he and Daniel Stevens. So Craig sitting in 13th, the lap down. Norman Clark 12th. Daniel Stevens is the car in front of Craig Lawless, and he's actually currently 11th place. And here comes Norman Clark now. He's going to pull up, and I've got a feeling he's going to take Craig Lawless on the inside.
Yeah, we're riding here with Dave Douglas at the moment, trying the high side on the 15. It didn't work, and he's tucked back in behind him.
Yeah, a little bit of a battle pack going here. Yeah, we've got Danny G, James Foster's starting to drop off again, as you said, and Danny G will take advantage of that shortly with Daniel Stevens right behind him. Norman Clark making a late charge after having a fairly quiet race so far. He's making good inroads right now.
Yeah, see him there on the inside of Danny G, and just boxing Danny in there behind Daniel Stevens, but now Daniel Stevens is going for the low line. And it's interesting, isn't it, how quickly these cars move around. And we've got James Foster on the high side, Daniel Stevens on the low side, then right behind them, the 13 Danny G and Norman Clark.
Yeah, there's Danny G, and I've got a feeling that Craig Lawless is going to make a move on him, although that is not for position. Craig's just obviously pushing on, but no, he's actually changed his mind. He's going to tuck in behind Danny G in car third.
Yeah, Norman Clark now, he's got, as you were saying, a good run there. He's just in front of Daniel Stevens as they come back into turn 1 on lap 148. Is he going to make the move stick? It looks like he is, and Norman Clark's now up to 9th.
I'm just checking on Edward Foster in car 53, sitting 3rd. He's pretty much all on his own there. No benefit of the draft because there's actually 2.5 seconds between 2nd and 3rd. And then we've got 8.1 seconds back to David Webb in 4th. So no advantage for Edward from the draft. But he's actually found a back marker, and I actually think that's Roger Clark. He's back out on track.
Let's have a look. Yep, so the 32 minutes of repairs have been done on the 09. He's coming out. God knows how many laps down he is, but I'll tell you what, I took my hat off him. A lot of drivers would have just hung up their helmet at that point, but in the spirit of tonight, Roger's coming back out and continuing. 65 laps he's down.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, Bernie. 65 down, but I knew Roger would actually repair the car and see the race through. I knew he'd rejoin again. I'm a little bit surprised that Edward didn't take advantage of Roger's push with a fresh car, fresh tyres, and take advantage of the draft to drag him around and close the gap to Lee Granty in 2nd place.
Yeah, well, that would have been probably a smart thing to do, wouldn't it? But I guess, they're probably getting a bit dizzy at the moment. We've got 50 laps remaining here. The restart happened on 110, so we're 40 laps into this green run at the moment.
Yeah, that's a long green period. I've got a feeling if this continues, we're going to see cars pitting under green. Tyres must be getting a bit on now. It's about 41, 42 laps since the last caution period, and anybody who's not had an incident and been in the pits all this time, such as Roger did, will be getting awful close to needing fuel and tyres. And if we don't get a caution, it's going to happen under green, and that's really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Roger just coming out of the pits with the fresh car is undoubtedly not going to need to pit anytime soon. And I'm going to feel that although being 65 laps down, he's going to have a tremendous amount of pace compared to the cars that have been out there for the last 42 laps.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see how many laps he can get back by the end of this, if he can. But he's just gone on the high side of the number 12 there. David Webb left him like he was standing still, and that's what fresh tyres looks like compared to old tyres that have seen better days. But looking at your top 10 at the moment, folks, we have Josh Micklemore leading by 2.9 seconds and Lee Gantry in second. He's got a gap back to Edward Foster of 2.6 seconds in third. David Webb sitting in fourth. Fifth is Weehan Chan. Then he's battling it out with Nicholas Crawford. No, he's not. Yes, he is. And then Norman Clark sitting in seventh, making moves forward. Daniel Stevens eighth, ninth, Danny G, and rounding out your top 10 is James Foster.
I'm just seeing Stephen Catalano, exactly what I was talking about, Bernie. He's just pitted for fuel and tyres, so obviously it's starting to take its toll, having a long green period. We're now up to, what, about 44 laps under green. And I'm pretty sure I saw Dave Douglas pulling out of the pits ahead of him.
Yeah, we're riding with Dave, and he was having trouble with tyres a moment ago, so he probably has pitted because he's down a lap at the moment. And now the question is, what do the front runners do, and how long do they hang on? I have a feeling once one of these front runners dive into the pits, they're going to react and look out for an undercut. As we see now, the number 12, he's also coming. That's David Webb coming in to take service.
I think we're going to start to see it. They're going to have no choice. Without a safety car period of caution, a pace car period, without the caution, they've got no choice. I mean, obviously, Dave Douglas and Steve Catalano have done that because they just had no choice. I mean, you get to a point where it's getting dangerous, you're getting low on fuel, and even if you want to run on raggedy tyres, you can't run on air. So if you're running out of fuel, you're going to have to pit. There's just no two ways about it. The number 12's just exited the pits and he's back out on track. That's David Webb. But he's got some making up to do because pitting under green, he's lucky he didn't go a lap down. Josh Micklemore's pitted. He's a lap down now, our race leader. So we've got Josh Micklemore, Craig Lawless, Dave Douglas, Steve Catalano, all a lap down. Darren O'Brien is a lap down. Roger Clark has pulled a lap back. He's now only 64 down. So we're going to start to see some pace, but we're seeing these guys pitting under green. So the positions are going to be everywhere, and we've currently got Norman Clark as the leader of the race.
Yeah, so the guys that have pitted under green can see James Foster coming out now. Weehan Chan and his teammate Lee Granty also pitted under green. Edward Foster, we're seeing him taking service at the moment. Just about all the front runners have come in. Josh Micklemore, he said he pitted. Danny Stevens has not, and neither has Norman Clark. And Norman's leading this race, and we know what Norman can do when it comes to tyre wear, because one of the rounds of the NASCAR Thursday Night Thunder, he pretty much ran half the race on a set of tyres, as now he's starting to slow down. So we'll see what he's going to do here, whether he's going to come in to take tyres as Josh Micklemore. No, it's not. Who is it? Number 12. David Webb's just gone around the outside on fresh boots. And,
yeah, but it still hasn't updated, so I'm still not seeing David as the leader of the race. I'm still seeing Norman there, but I've got a feeling Norman might be needing fuel.
Yeah, he's backed right off, hasn't he? And again, he stays out, but he just, what sort of speed is he doing? He's 304 kilometres an hour, so it just looked a bit slow.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does look like he's backed right off, but he's down to about 275, 280 now. But he could be trying to conserve fuel, but now he's back up over 305, 308. I don't know, Bernie. I thought he was backing off because he needed fuel, but he's still got the foot into it.
Yeah, well, maybe what he's thinking is most of the guys that have pitted now are a lap down. Now, if he stayed out long enough and a pace car was called or a yellow came out, he's going to pretty much bury them. Because he would then pit under pace car conditions. But I think the way we've been going here, I don't know if we're going to see a pace car anytime soon. Well,
we're up to 163, Bernie, so it's 53 laps since the last pit. I'm starting to think Norman's running on fumes, but he's not showing any sign of looking at coming in for fuel, even if he's happy to leave it on the tyres. I'm very, very surprised at that, actually. So obviously he's doing better on the fuel than I thought he would, and than what some of the others are doing, because he's still leading this race. No, there he goes. He's off into the pits now. There we go.
Yeah, so he stayed out as long as he possibly could. Now I'm just having a look at who hasn't pitted. I think Norman's the last to come in to take service, and then it should all even out with everyone back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I think he was really hanging out for a yellow period so that he wouldn't drop down, but he's obviously had no choice. I mean, he's listening to his spotter, and he's probably been told that, you know, you're down to 1 lap of fuel or something, and he's gone, well, you know, I've got no choice.
And we can see another car coming in as well. It was a Caterpillar car. I'm not sure who that was. Daniel Stevens, also now in the 66, has come in to take service. And trying to get the other car here. Norman's just coming out of the pits. We can see a great battle here between James Foster and the number 2, Josh Micklemore. Now, my telemetry is a bit mixed up because it's saying these aren't racing for position, but
yeah, the Caterpillar car's Craig Lawless, Bernie.
Okay, so he's also come into service, but my telemetry here is a bit mixed up. It's saying Josh Micklemore's leading, Lee Granty is second, and it's saying James is down a lap. That's what it is. He's trying to pass the number 2 to get back on the lead lap.
As soon as Norman came in, it actually put the front half of the field back on the lead lap.
Yeah, so James is the first of the ones a lap down. Darren O'Brien, Norman Clark are also a lap down. Craig Lawless two laps down. Daniel Stevens is 3 laps down, and Roger Clark is now 63 laps down. So that's what this battle is James Foster's trying to get past Josh here to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, sorry, Bernie, I was a little bit distracted there. I was actually just looking at what was happening with our front 3 or 4 cars and trying to get a good look at who it was, and it's actually Lee Granty sitting behind Josh Micklemore. I've got Lee Granty as listed as being second, but for the angle I was looking at his car, it didn't look like it was him. So I was trying to see who it was that was actually behind Josh. I thought it might have been an out-of-place vehicle, but no, it's not. Josh Micklemore and Lee Granty first and second. David Webb up to third. Goodness gracious, he's made having a fantastic run, David Webb, tonight.
Yeah, he certainly is, and at the moment, if we look at that gap, Josh Micklemore, he's got a gap of 4.6 seconds back to Lee Granty in second. Then David Webb is another 5.6 seconds down. Well, he's 1 second down from second, and he is lapping. Josh Micklemore is in the 28s. 28.261 was his last lap. And of course, he's got James Foster breathing down his neck, trying to get back on the lead lap.
And Dave Douglas is in 4th place, but there's a 10-second gap between 3rd and 4th. So the only way I really see that closing up again is with another caution period. But I really hate the way these guys are just putting in the effort tonight. I'd really hate to see anybody lose out by causing the caution.
Yeah, we're going to need a caution soon because I need a pit stop. It's only so far I can run as well when I'm before I'm going to have to go and listen to my spotter.
You might need to make that pit stop, Bernie, and I'll sit here and rabbit on like a goose.
All right.
And we'll see how we go. I'll just keep an eye on some of these front runners for the moment, folks. But remember, this is Tristo 300 brought to you by ANZCAR, who run the Thursday night Thunder for the truck series, the NASCAR trucks. Monday night, they run the K&N Pro Series in those cars. It was happily and proudly sponsored by Advanced PC Systems, or Solutions, pardon me, APCS. And tonight is for Tristan Yellen. And we actually have a charity event on. And of course, there is a donation page. And when Bernie returns, I'm sure he'll be only too happy to throw the GoFundMe address up. and you can please donate, help Tristan out. A long-time iRacer and well known throughout the community with most people that have been around for a while. And he's having some real medical issues at the moment. And this event was raised to help with his expenses for getting to and from his medical appointments and some of his medications. So when Bernie comes back, we'll have him pop up the address, and $1, $2, $5, whatever you can spare, you can pop that up and help Tristan out. And if you're enjoying this fantastic event tonight put on by ANZCAR, then please donate and help Tristan out, because that's why the event is on. G'day, Bernie. Welcome back to the commentary box.
Yeah, I'm back all right, and I don't know what that pit stop was, but it wasn't too bad. I've just put up the GoFundMe page there. $460 out of 500, so he's nearly at his goal there.
Yeah, no, fantastic stuff, and the community getting behind this and behind Tristan and showing their support. I've still got my eyes on Dave Douglas, still running in fourth, and still a 10-second gap up to David Webb in third. We've got Josh Mickelmore leading with a 3.9-second gap over Lee Granty. Edward Foster sits behind all those guys in fifth spot, but there's quite a gap there. The field is starting to spread out quite a bit. Weehan Chan making a real go of it tonight, and he's sitting in sixth. Nicholas Crawford in seventh. Daniel G, or Danny G as we call him, and I'm really not going to insult him by trying to pronounce his surname. He's sitting in seventh. He's one of the ANZCAR admins, one of the people responsible for the event tonight. Stephen Catalano sitting in ninth. Somebody who I think might have been, I think Bernie hit the nail on the head. He's playing a bit of possum there earlier. A poor qualifying effort earlier in the night, and actually made the statement that other people were going to have to make mistakes for him to get anywhere tonight. And he's actually sitting up in ninth, having a pretty good run at the front half of the field. Behind Stephen Catalano is the first of our lap down people. That's James Foster, followed by Norman Clark, Daniel Stevens in 12th, Darren O'Brien 13th, Craig Lawless 14th, and then Roger Clark, who had massive repairs, took 32 minutes. And Roger's one of the ANZCAR admins, one of the people responsible for tonight. And Roger's just plugging away at it, loves his racing, absolutely loves it. And yes, if you don't know, Norman and Roger Clark both running tonight. They are father and son, with Roger being the younger of the two, obviously. And then we've lost Bob King, Jeff Rahali, Jared Farrell and Scott O'Brien earlier in the night. We're up to lap 180, folks. We've got about 20 laps to go.
Yeah, and at the moment, Josh is on a march. He's just put the 67 down a lap. James Foster was biting at his heels, wanting to get back on the lead lap. Josh is not allowing it. And have a look at this, folks. We've got the 67, the 14, the 66, 77, all behind our race leader, the number 2. And he's not going to let anyone get through.
Oh, look, this is fantastic towards the end of the race. They've all been so spread out for the last 20 or 30 laps. But since the last round of pit stops under green, the front field, the front have bunched up. We've got 5-car battle pack going, and they can all taste blood. They're all hungry. They know that there's only about 18 or so laps to go. And,
There's a 14 into the wall. James Foster into the wall hard. Brings out the yellow. I could see something about to unfold there, but it looks like James has hit the wall very hard, ripped the whole front off that car. Let's have a look at it. He did get loose, and we can just see him coming around on the high side here. We had the 66, Daniel Stevens, on the inside. Let's have a look. He just got into the back of the 67, then the 77 got in the back of the 14, and that was all she wrote, folks, as the 14 is in the wall hard, and I'd say that's good night, Irene.
Yeah, that was a pretty big hit. I got a feeling that will take too long to repair. Even if James wanted to come back out on track, I don't think we've got about 16, 17 laps left, and I got a feeling that that was a pretty monumental hit into the wall. So that'll be all over. Yeah.
Yeah, just going to jump on the cockpit cam here. Have a look at the way that car is. Yeah, you can see it even when he's coming in the corner. His right hand down there. So I'd say it's still running surprisingly, but I'd say once they bring that car in, it's going to be sitting there for quite some time.
Josh Micklemore's just left the pits, our race leader, so he'll retain the lead and have control of the field when the pace car exits.
Yeah, so James Foster there, he was fighting so hard to get back on the lead lap. He just didn't have the pace, and then all of a sudden the 67 and 77 and a few others got into that 5-car battle, and it was James basically getting back in the 67. Then he must have lifted because the 77 of Darren O'Brien came up in the rear end and put him into the wall.
Unfortunate, but these things do happen. So,
oh well, you know, that's at those speeds. It doesn't take much in this sort of racing to have these things unfold, do they? And I'm sure if we were in the car with O'Brien in the 77, he would have been lifting, but he was just carrying too much pace at that point.
It is easy. It does happen easily, and it's interesting how things go depending on the track as well, Bernie, because the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder a couple of weeks ago at Talladega, and it was, you would expect the super speedway, all everybody's got to do is just keep it straight, keep it clean. But unfortunately, somebody sneezed on lap 4 and and it was a mess.
Certainly was, and a big shout out. Tristan Yelland has joined us in the chat channel. Welcome, Tristan. I'm glad you're enjoying the race tonight, the Tristo 300, and it's been an awesome race to call, that's for sure. Now we're going to be treated to a 16-lap sprint, and it's going to be on.
Oh, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong here in a minute. It's going to be awesome. These guys are going to be bunched up. They've got fresh fuel, fresh tyres, fresh cars, and they're going to be hungry. And they know that all they've got to do is keep it clean, keep it straight, and keep the foot down. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and it's going to be Whack-Man, just like Pac-Man. There you go.
Oh, they're showing their age, Bernie.
Well, you started it.
Donkey Kong, yeah, I know.
So, yeah. So I feel like with those two old blokes from the Muppets saying, that's not how you pass a car.
Well, that's right, yeah.
But, yeah, so your top 10 at the moment, folks. Josh Mickelmore, he will take control of this race when the pace car's in. On the outside, we've got Lee Granty. Then in the second row, Dave Douglas, and he has David Webb, the number 12, beside him. In the third row, we'll have Edward Foster on the inside in the number 53, with Weehan Chan in the 17, starting on the outside of him. Fourth row will be Nicholas Crawford and Danny G, and the fifth row tonight will be Norman Clark on the inside and Steve Catalano in the 67, starting beside him. And here we go, 15 laps remaining, and we're underway at Charlotte.
Yes, green, Bernie, and they have the foot down. Josh is actually leading the field away, and he's put a small gap on Dave Douglas, and I think it's Lee Granty.
Yeah, well, Dave's looking on the inside, and he's going side by side here, trading blows with Lee. Lee on the high side, he doesn't want to roll over. Oh, Dave's got it loose. Is he going to gather it up, or is he going to swing back?
Oh, yeah, nice save from Dave Douglas. I thought that was going to be a disaster, but he's brought the yellow flag out. He's still carrying a whole lot of speed. He hasn't been able to... Yep, he's caught it now. Wow, that was a wild ride.
Yeah, well, I saw on the tri-oval, I'm not sure who it was, but there was a big incident above him on the tracks, and I think that's what brought out the caution.
Unless somebody's carrying damage, I wouldn't expect to see anybody pit at this stage, Bernie. We've only just come back from one, so got a feeling everybody's going to stay out there.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and have a look at the number 12 because that's David Webb. He was parked on the front straight there with a heavily damaged car. So let's see if we can unravel this for you, folks. We saw Dave Douglas just ahead of him get loose, save of the night, but keep an eye on the number 12. What has gone on here? Oh, the number 12, avoiding Dave, actually got into the wall. He spun it. Oh, is Wee Han Chan going to get through? He does, but yeah, the number 12 got nailed by the 15, and the 77-66 went either side of the 15 there. Good driving by quite a lot, but it looks like it's all she wrote for the number 12.
No, he's back on track, Bernie. He's got a real big dent in the back of that car, but he's actually sitting in behind number 19 at the moment, who's Craig Lawless. They're lined up behind the pace car at the back of the field.
Yeah, and I tell you what, have a look at the driving. We'll go back and see if we can pick this up. And the 66 and 77 split.
Well, that's Daniel Stevens and Darren O'Brien, Bernie.
Yeah, they went past the 15, one high, one low, as he lost momentum from hitting the 12 and avoided more carnage. So great driving by those guys to avoid that incident.
Yeah, no, it's fortunate that they did when Nicholas Crawford had the coming together with David Webb, Nicholas Crawford being the number 15, and Daniel Stevens, Darren O'Brien. Some great foresight and driving there to see what was happening and react in time to actually avoid an even bigger incident. So. But all cars that were involved in that and had the close call, all lined up in the field behind the pace car. We expect to go back to green within about a lap.
And a big shout out to Middle Finger Racing, who announced at the start of this that for every green lap they're donating $1 to the 410 Grand Slam Tristo fundraiser, which is what we're here about tonight, folks, to raise money for Tristan Yellen's medical treatments. So if there's still time to donate, 10 laps to go. Go to www.gofundme.com/410 Grand Slam Tristo fundraiser, and even if it's $1, every dollar counts.
Absolutely, every dollar. They all add up. I mean, you might only be able to donate $1, but if 9 of your friends do it, all of a sudden we got $10, and that adds up. It all helps.
Oh, exactly right. And we're going to be down now, folks, to a 10-lap sprint. Let's have a look at the drivers here so you can see where your favourite driver is and if they're in contention. Josh Micklemore, he's going to lead the way. Lee Granty, he's been there most of the night. If we look at the stats on these two, Josh has led 115 laps, Lee Granty 56 laps. Then we've got Edward Foster. He's only led 1 lap tonight, but he's sitting there in 3rd position and looking strong. Danny G, he has not led a lap tonight in the 13, but he finds himself in 4th. Then we have Wee Han Chan in the 17 in 5th. Dave Douglas, don't write him off, he's sitting in 6th. And then in 7th we have the magician, Norman Clark. So I'm going to ask you, who's your favourite? And they're going to crash.
I'm not answering that question, honestly. I'm going to tell you who I think's doing really crap, because then they'll do well, I think.
Okay. So...
but now, look, behind Norman, of course, David Webb in 8th, who's had a bit of a mixed night. He had a really strong run for a long time, and he got himself up to 4th place from starting further back in the field a little bit. But that little incident he's had not long ago, and that's dropped him back to 8th. But we've still got 9 cars on the lead lap, with Steve Catalano sitting in 9th, who didn't expect to do any good tonight. So he's sitting 9th, he's on the lead lap. Anything can happen. If a couple of these guys in front have an issue, the guys from 5th through to 9th will all of a sudden find themselves battling for a win.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see how the 29 goes. But I tell you what, here goes Josh Mickelmore. He's put the foot down. He's taken the lead again. But keep an eye on Edward Foster. He's trying to get on the inside of Lee Granty here. Just didn't quite make it. And Danny G sitting back there in fourth. Dave Douglas, he's made that move on Wei Han Chan, and he's come up to fifth.
Buckle up, folks. We've got 7 laps to go, and these guys are going to go hard. They know they're close. They've all got good tyres and good fuel. They've only got to go hard, be sensible and keep it clean. And with only 6 or 7 laps left, we don't know who's going to win. It's easy to say that these front 3 are going to be the podium, but you don't know, do you?
No, well, the front 3 now are going to crash out because you called them. But at the moment, Josh Mickelmore...
No. Oh, well, then it looks like Danny G owes me a beer because he's in 4th.
Oh, there you go. He'll do a Bradbury tonight. But at the moment, Josh Mickelmore, he has led 118 laps tonight of the 200. He's looking extremely strong. Lee Granty is trying to chase him down, but he doesn't quite have the pace at the moment. And then Edward Foster sitting in 3rd, also trying to chase him down. Further back, though, Dave Douglas and Wei Han Chan are trading blows here for 5th and 6th position. Wei Han on the inside, Dave on the outside, and Wei Han just made that move stick, and we can see the 67, Stephen Catalano closing up. But let's get back up the front, that's where the action is, and Josh Mickelmore, Lee Granty, Edward Foster.
Well, Steve Catalano is just now making a move on Dave Douglas for 6th position, and when we came back from the caution 2 laps ago, Stephen Catalano was in 9th, and he's up to 6th.
Yeah, he's having a good run, isn't he? And we'll call him the Fox because he was foxing people earlier tonight. But here he goes once again. He's got Dave Douglas on the high side. He makes the move once again. Does it stick? Yes, it does. But I tell you what, that high line, it's definitely working for Dave.
Oh yeah, Dave's a very accomplished driver, and he knows this track really well. So, unfortunately, a couple of the other guys, and Norman Clark's made a move on Dave now, so he's actually chasing down Steve Catalano. And all this is happening outside the top 5. It's great racing.
Certainly is, and at the front, though, they're all separated 0.3 of a second from our race leader, Josh Mickelmore, back to Lee Granty. Then there's 0.5 of a second back to Edward Foster. These guys are pretty much cleared out on the rest of the field. The gap back to Danny G is 2.4 seconds. So I'd say your winner is going to come out of these top 3, and I have a feeling it's going to come down to Josh and Lee to duke this one out.
Yeah, pretty much, I'd say so. I mean, it's only 0.3 of a second, but it only takes one guy to get a little bit lose a bit of momentum, and all of a sudden the 2 or 3 cars behind him's all over the back of him again, or even passing. But yeah, we're up to, well, we must be getting awful close to a white flag now, Bernie.
We're under the white flag now, and there's a race to the line. Here we go. Lee Granty, he's closed up on the back. Does he have enough momentum to take the win here tonight? I don't know, but all of a sudden that gap has come down to 1 car length, and it's anyone's race once again. Lee now on the inside of the tri-oval. He's going for a look. He just does not do it. Josh Mickelmore takes out the Tristo 300.
Yeah, he just missed out on that one, but what a fantastic run to the line.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Great racing, and you can hear the fireworks going off in the background, folks. And so what do you think? What did you think of that racing tonight?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic racing tonight. Unfortunately, with only 19 starters, over 200 laps, it was always going to spread out at a certain point. But I think there was some fantastic driving. There was some great one-on-one racing throughout it, and there was some great pack racing here and there. So it was a really good race. Look, up and down through the field, even the guys that were a lap or 3 laps down, they pushed hard. They didn't give up. They continued on. They had their own battles going as we watched Josh Mickelmore doing his victory burnout across the start-finish line. But no, look, fantastic racing tonight. And the fact that it was for a good cause just makes it even more special.
Certainly does, and just riding with Josh here as he celebrates a well-earned win. At the end of the day, he led 125 laps of the 200. Lee Granty led the next most. He came home second, 1/10 of a second behind him. Excuse me, folks. He led 56 laps. If we look at the fastest lap, that also goes to Josh Micklemore, and that was 27.139 was the fastest lap that he did tonight.
Yeah, no, look, there was some great laps done. I don't think anybody in the field was completely clear of a dodgy move when it came to getting loose. I think everybody suffered from it from one point or another, to one degree or another. It just some were more noticeable than others. But there were a few guys there that we didn't really see it from, but I'm pretty sure they had their moments.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have had their moments. And we're going to cross over to our race winner very shortly. Josh Micklemore is in the green room. Bit of a shout out to Bob King. He that was his first tarmac race tonight, and it looks like he definitely enjoyed it. He came home 16th in the end, but an excellent effort there by Bob. And let's bring in our race winner, Josh Micklemore, and let's hear from him. Did you want to start the interview, Steve?
Yeah, no, that's fine, not a problem, yeah. Good day, Josh, how you going?
Oh, did you?
Hey, Josh. Congratulations on the win. 125 laps, I believe you led out of the 200 tonight. So, supreme effort, wonderful stuff, some great driving.
Yeah, cheers, mate, cheers.
How did you actually find the track out there tonight? Like, are you used to Charlotte? Do you know the track well, or...?
Yeah, I run the ANZCAR around here a little bit when that comes around for the season and that, but I don't really drive this car too often, so it's been quite a while since I've actually done a race in this thing, but yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, I actually did some pre-race laps myself just to get used to the way the bumps felt in the Xfinity cars, and it's a different feeling. I'm used to going around here in the trucks, so yeah, it is a completely different feeling in these cars, so I know what you mean by that. There were some great battles there tonight. Lee Granty certainly kept you honest there for quite a while.
Yeah, he was hard to pass too. He was pretty quick. I was surprised actually. So he put on a good fight even throughout the whole race. He was on my tail. So no, it was good work by Lee and Edward as well. He was up there.
Yeah, I actually noticed there late in the race we had a caution period, and Norman Clark stayed out. And it basically put the rest of you all a lap down. Well, actually, no. Was that under the caution? Yeah, I think it was. But yeah, he stayed out, and but as soon as he pitted, it sorted itself out again, and everybody basically came onto the lead lap. We actually finished with 9 guys on the lead lap tonight, Josh. So you had 8 guys hunting you down there, and you managed to hold them out and take the win. So congrats on that. If it was a special event for a special reason, and I think it took a pretty special drive to win that.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's for a good cause. Here to support Tristan and that, and problems he's going through at the moment. It's good to support him. You know, I've raced motorsport in the real world, and motorsport game, people are very caring and giving, and same with the sim racing community. We're all very caring and giving, and it's a good thing to support him and what he's going through at the moment.
Yeah, no, well said, mate. I mean, we can all be a little bit blood and guts when it comes to being on track, but when somebody who's especially a long time iRacer comes down with the sort of problems that Tristan's going through at the moment, people do tend to band together a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to? Anybody else you want to thank, Josh or Bernie? You got any questions?
No, at the moment, I should have some questions, shouldn't I? But at the moment, I'm trying to work out how many green laps we run tonight. So to see how much middle finger racing has to raise. But no, good race there, Josh. Fantastic going. How worried were you when Lee started closing in on you on those final laps?
Yeah, I'm usually a I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit of a long-term driver on the laps, so I'm better at saving tyres than sprinting. That's what I should say. So, yeah, I've seen him getting me there a bit closer, but I had a little bit in the back seat, and just in case he did get right on my tail. But yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic effort there. You started out a second tonight. You led in the statistics 125 laps. You also got the fastest lap, which was 27.139. So you almost got the hat trick. So congratulations. Loved the burnout, and it looked like you're having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. Very good racing. Got some green flag pit stops, and it was good fun. I'd just like to thank ANZCAR for putting on the event, RRTV for broadcasting, and the other competitors. It was a good fun race.
Fantastic. Well, we'll let you go now and enjoy your winnings or your victory. And thanks for putting on a great show for us and the viewers tonight.
Yep. Cheers, mate.
So who else we got in the green room there, Bernie?
We've got Grant D. Lee, Lee Granty. We'll bring him in. We've also got Edward Foster. We'll bring him after that. Wehan Chana and Danny G are all waiting for an interview.
Excellent stuff. Bring on somebody.
Okay, our next interview is Lee Granty. Well done, Lee, coming home second tonight. We haven't seen much of you in this series, but I tell you what, you let them know your presence.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was a very long, it was a tough race, man. This Charlotte is very tiring. I couldn't keep up with the leader.
No, you're having an awesome drive, though, and you led 56 of the 200 laps here tonight. And Wehan Chan was telling us you love your NASCAR racing, so any chance we might see you in a bit more ANZCAR racing?
The timing for me is kind of awkward because I have worked during the weekdays, so I probably won't be joining this week.
Okay, fair enough. But outside this league, is this the category you normally choose to race in, or what's your favourite racing category?
Yeah, absolutely. The B class. The B class is amazing. It's so fun. I dislike the A class. The Cup car is just too predictable.
Okay, so coming into this race tonight, did you guys do a lot of pre-race preparation to get ready for tonight's event?
To be honest, not really, because I have no idea what's going on. All I know is that Wei Han asked me to join the race, and then it was for charity. So it's like I just came in and practiced about 33 laps during the practice session, and this was it.
It's an absolutely awesome race, that's for sure. And as I was saying, at the end, you were separated by 1/10 of a second over Josh, and we could see you were making a play, but it didn't look like you just had the pace to go for that win tonight.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm going to hand you over to Steve Hoppert here, our other commentator, and see if he's got any more questions for you, Lee.
I just want to talk about the big blast of speed that Lee showed right at the end there. I mean, you could obviously see that there was some way that you might have been able to get past right on that last lap. But, Josh was just seemed to just have that little bit of an edge on you.
Yeah, he was really fast. I mean, I thought he's going to burn his stuff up early in the race, just like early in the race, he burned his stuff up pretty quickly, so I thought he's going to do the same thing. And then I just waited, and then he just set sail.
Did you seem to find much of a problem with tyre wear tonight? Because there seemed to be a big difference in through the field with some guys who seemed to look after their tyres in the early stages, which is the only way that we could sort of see it from our point of view. Was there was a couple of guys there showed a huge burst of speed mid to late race, where there was a long period of 50-something laps without a pace car, and nobody seemed to want to pit under green, obviously. And I'm just wondering, did you seem to find the tyre wear was a bit heavy, or were you able to manage it pretty well?
Yeah, surprisingly, I managed it. I think I managed it pretty well. I thought it's gonna drop even more. The car wasn't that loose than I expected, so it's kind of controllable. You can run hard, but you don't want to overheat your stuff. You overheat, you're gonna fall back pretty quickly.
Yeah, we noticed that with a couple of guys. They seem to be pushing a little bit in some of the lines they took, and they seem to drop back a few positions and back through the field. And after a while, they'd seem to get the temperature down on the tyres. They were able to move back forward again. But look, fantastic drive from you tonight. You led, I think it was 56 laps or something. A huge bunch of laps and a fantastic drive from you, bringing it home second. And it was all for a good cause. So congratulations, Lee. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my friend for making the paint scheme. I've been asking him to make something unique for me, and then he managed to do it.
Well, that would be Wee Han Chan, of course,
Yes,
who came home fifth, yeah.
Yep.
No worries. All right. Thanks very much for running tonight and supporting such a fantastic cause, Lee.
Yep.
And we hope to see you on track again as soon as the time permits. We understand that the time difference makes it difficult for you for when we race in this region. But we're really grateful that you're able to make it tonight, and you certainly put on a good show and a good race. Fantastic driving. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, that was Lee Grant D here. Coming second tonight, third, we had Edward Foster, and we'll bring Edward up now, and we'll have a chat with him. Did you want to have a chat, Steve?
Well, I was just actually going to say, Edward's coming into the box. You probably don't need me for a couple of minutes. I think he'll he'll know what to say, and he'll be able to say the right things, won't he?
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I'm going to interview you, Ed, while Steve has a bit of a break, because I don't think he's had a pit stop all night. So coming home third tonight, up 3 positions, well done. Quite a good drive.
Oh, thanks, mate. That was absolutely just insane. I reckon just about, well, it felt like anyway that every wreck managed to happen right in front of me. I lost count of how many spinning cars I dodged, and then just managed to make a mess of it under the green flag pit stop and speed in the pits, 15-second penalty, and then have to fight back from there. So certainly never a dull moment.
It certainly isn't, and I can tell you we had 7 yellows tonight out of the 200, so not that many yellows, that's for sure. It's good racing. But I tell you what, looking at you three at the restart, it was pretty much a sprint home, 10 laps, I think it was, 9 laps. Did you think you're in with a shot, or did you were you happy with trying to stay in third there?
In all honesty, I didn't think. I basically knew I wasn't in with a shot on fresh tyres. Whenever we were on fresh tyres, those two would generally gap me and just disappear. And then after we started to get a bit of wear on the tyres, I'd be able to sort of run with them and close the gap up a little bit. But obviously, with 8 laps to go in the race or whatever it was when we went green, that wasn't going to be possible. So I was more concerned with just making sure I saw off Danny G and Wee Han and those guys behind me, just to make sure that I was able to consolidate third and kind of almost outside hoping that the two ahead of me might get stuck into each other and bring me back into play. But they're both too good for that. So happy with third. Very, very happy to come home third.
Yeah, and of course earlier in the night we saw you and James having a good battle there, and it looked like James got into a bit of strife as the racing went on, unfortunately, but it still looked like you got bragging rights tonight.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened with him. I know that he got involved in something with Roger. I think he may have gone across the grass or something like that. I was sort of aware that he was behind me there for a little while, and we ran together for a little while, which was good because I know, with him, we've been around each other long enough. I know he's not going to do anything stupid, throw a nose in where it shouldn't be, and obviously running with him, I was able to run some good pace and everything. And it looks as though he fell away towards the end. I think he had a couple of incidents there. So not the finish he would have been after, but at the same time, he did say to me before the race he didn't really feel that comfortable running long stints in the car, and we got nothing but long stints tonight. So I guess unsurprising, that if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be able to string a whole bunch of laps together, and the mistakes are going to creep in. So yeah, he'll improve from here, and yeah, jump back into the trucks on Thursday, and we'll have a blast.
Yeah, fantastic. And what was I going to say? Yeah, there was a few guys out there that didn't look that comfortable on the long stints, that's for sure. But I tell you what, how comfortable were you when you had to bring that car in under green? We were sort of sitting up here thinking your tyres would have been like marshmallows at that point.
Well, the tyres, they were pretty bad, but I wasn't really looking at pitting at that stage until everybody else started to come in. And the one thing that you don't want is to allow somebody to get what they call the undercut, where they pit a bit early and they do a lot of laps on fresh tyres and gain time that way. So I was left with no option but to pit. I actually tried to pit the previous lap, and I did get on the radio and say that I was going to come down the pit lane. And then as I slowed to do that, somebody darted to my inside and blocked me off, which annoyed me quite a bit at the time. So came around the second time and I was still annoyed, and got on the brakes a bit late and shot across it and sped in the lane, which is what got me that penalty. So yeah, it just shows never get mad in a race car. I think it was Andretti used to say, you get mad, you're in the wall. So didn't quite hit the wall, but I certainly get his point.
Yeah, exactly right. You hear it all the time, don't you? In the racing, with the manager just speaking calmly, and what they're trying to do is take the emotion out of the cockpit so that the driver doesn't make that mistake. But I'll just see if Mr. Hoppett's finished his pit stop yet. Are you back with us, Steve?
Yeah, the old legs are stretched and the knees feel a bit better. So yeah, thank you for that. How are you, Edward?
Yeah, not too bad, Steve. How you going?
Oh, I'm good, mate. Actually, yeah, it was pretty exciting stuff there tonight. I really wish I'd been out there actually when it all came down to it, but did my bit here in the box for the cause, and what a great cause it was tonight. And there was some fantastic racing. You had such a good run there tonight, mate. You were holding third place for what seemed like forever.
Yeah, I sort of made that one my own. It just I just knew I wasn't going to get any higher up without something out of the ordinary happening, just on pace, especially new tyre pace. The guys in front of me were quicker, and it seemed that I had just about everyone behind me covered. So yeah, that's pretty much where I ended up, probably where I deserved.
Yeah, no, I think we went something like 56 laps under green at one point, and in the commentary, we actually talked about how we were going. I predicted we were going to start to see guys coming in under green, because 56 laps. I mean, even if people were able to look after their tyres and still run on them, there must have been a fuel issue coming up. And sure enough, within about a lap of that, we started to see people coming in. They just trickled in a couple at a time, and then all of a sudden, the bulk of the field came in. And Norman stayed out, and I think he stayed out. There was a pace car about that time, I think, as well. And he stayed out hoping for a pace car, I think, actually. But in the end, he thought it was wiser to come in since everybody else had. So, which basically, while he was out there, put everybody a lap down. And then once he pitted, everybody went back onto the lead lap that weren't more than a lap down anyway.
Yeah, that's Norman for you. He always tries something different. He's got plenty of tricks in that old magic hat of his, and yeah, he's always trying something different and something clever. And you take these gambles. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. It looked like it didn't for him tonight. There have been plenty of times when he has done, and it looked as though he almost had a crystal ball looking into the future. So yeah, I'm glad he didn't put us all a lap down tonight.
Well, that's right, yeah. I mean, if he had stayed out, it may have changed the complexion for the last 30 or 40 laps, but he obviously decided that there wasn't going to be a pace car anytime soon, and he needed to do something about it. So I was very surprised, actually, that there was such a long green stint. We had a lot of green, but it was broken up with a caution period. But when we got that 56 laps or more, it started to be a bit of a concern as to who was actually going to hold it together on the old tyres and who still had fuel to run. So, but it worked out that way in the end, and then we actually came back about a lap and a half, and we got another one. So when we did get a caution period, so we got two within a few laps, which was a bit strange. But there was some people who had good mid-race pace and that sort of stuff, but you were one of the consistent ones and seemed to just hang in there. and just hold the position, and that was great to see. So a good drive, mate. Well done on the third place, getting on the podium.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. Yeah, like I said, very happy with it. I think that was definitely the most that was achievable tonight. I don't really think I had the pace to beat the top two, as I said. So, yeah, a lot of it was just sort of trying to hang on to the back of those guys. But, yeah, very, very pleased.
Yeah, it was a race of changes. I mean, we had Jeff Rayleigh, who blasted away at the start and just basically dominated. But then as soon as he had the slightest issue, the rest of his night just seemed to fall apart. So the lead changes in the later stages, what surprised me, how people had managed their tyres and their fuel. So it was very interesting, a great race, and I recommend highly watching the stream because it was fantastic stuff to watch.
Will do. Always do, actually.
No worries. Thanks, mate. You have a good night.
I'd just like to say one further thing, if you've got a couple of moments. It just, obviously tonight, you know, we all went out and had a great race, but there was I suppose a larger, more important cause that was being looked after tonight, and it just really shows what can happen when a group of people get together and decide to do something. And I think what we've been able to achieve tonight, you know, it's not just a bunch of guys doing sim racing. We've actually achieved something that matters, that really matters in someone's life. And honestly, Tristan, if you're watching, I hope you enjoyed the race, and I hope you're happy with what we've done, because it's been something that all of us at ANZCAR have really been putting a huge amount of effort behind, and trying to do something. And yeah, regardless of personal results and who's had a good night and who's had a bad night, I think the main cause of the whole night, the main point of the whole night was achieved, and it's something that we're all immensely proud of at ANZCAR, and of course RRTV as well for showing it, breaking with your usual schedule to show this. Really, very, very grateful and really quite humbled by it. So thank you very much.
Oh, look, well said, mate. I actually thought you guys covered that while I was away having my pit stop, but yeah, no, well said. And it was for a great cause. And we do know that Tristan was actually in the chat channel there for a while. So hopefully he's been able to stay with us and stick it out and watch the whole race, because everybody was actually here to support the cause, not just to race. And the donations were coming in. So that was great stuff.
Oh, that's excellent. That's really excellent to hear. So, yeah, shout out to you, Tristan. Hope you're having a good night, and, yeah, keep on top of it, mate.
Yeah, and before you go, Edward, Middle Finger Racing, before the race started, said they would donate $1 for every lap under green. I've done the numbers here, so we had 172 green laps tonight, so that's $172 that Team MFR, will be donating to the cause as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Big props to them. I know that was Wayne Pingilly who was a driving force behind that, and obviously his business, Wayne Pingilly Concreting. So, yeah, thanks very much to WPC, Middle Finger Racing, and especially Penzo. Just unbelievable effort, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, that's for sure. And a big thanks to Team MFR and WP Concreting. And I think they're in Victoria, I think. But if you need some concreting, definitely check those guys out. Penzo's quite a nice bloke, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to help you guys out. But yeah, so we've had a very generous donation, and to a great cause, and it's been a lot of fun calling the action here tonight, that's for sure. But Edward, is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to, and we'll get on with the rest of the interviews?
Just I suppose a shout out to everybody who took part tonight and who donated across the broadcast. I mean, that was the point of the evening. We all had a great time doing some racing, but yeah, like I say, there was a higher purpose to it all. So thank you to everyone who contributed it. Really genuine thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. And also a big thanks out to all the drivers who donated and came out and made this event for what it was, and also to all the viewers out there while we're sharing the love, for tuning in tonight and hopefully making a donation to the great cause as well. All right, so folks, that was Edward Foster. He came home third tonight. We'll continue down the grid here, Steve. There's a few more guys waiting by their cars to have a bit of a chat with us. The next one's Danny G, or I call him Danny G because I cannot pronounce his surname. It's Daniel Grishevich or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to even try. I normally do pretty good, but I'm not going to attempt that and actually insult him. Good day, Danny.
G'day, fellas. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and I think Bernie's doing pretty well at the moment.
The question is, though, Danny, is how are you doing, my friend? You came home tonight fourth, and you look like you're having a lot of fun out there in the, I think it was the number 13 Exalta. What is it? Is it Chevy? I don't know. Yeah, Chevy.
Yeah, she's a Chevy. Yeah, no, I was having a lot of fun until I hit the wall. Maybe 115, 120 laps in, and then had some pretty bad aero push and just holding onto the wheel with my left hand, just totally cramped my left hand, and I couldn't even open it.
Wow. Yeah, we saw quite a few people hit the wall there. So did you hit the wall because you lost feeling in your hand? Is that what you're saying?
No, I hit the wall trying to follow someone else. He hit the wall, so I pushed up and hit the wall with him.
Fair enough. And was there a lot of push? Like we saw a lot of the cars running closely. Was there a lot of wash going on which was causing cars to push like that?
Yeah, for the first 15 laps, I guess it wasn't too bad, but once the tyres started to wear it, you definitely had a definite push.
Yeah, fantastic. And, well, I guess, you know, coming home fourth then, considering you had that incident, it's a pretty good night, really.
Yeah, no, there was a classic pass there at the end. I think Dave turned himself around, and I went on the inside and went for the old pass in the grass and actually pulled it off, and came up fourth there, and yeah, finished fourth. That was really good.
Fantastic. No, it was an awesome, nice night racing, that's for sure. And one thing it does show is, you know, how entertaining the Xfinity series can be. And I know this was a charity event, but it'd be fun to see more of this style of racing with this style car.
Yeah, it definitely is. I haven't run too many laps in this car or at this track, but the combination was really good. I think the night weather and the overcast, and yeah, just made a lot of grip, and yeah, it was actually really good fun.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to hand you over to Steve because I'm running out of questions to ask people.
I can't think of much to ask him apart from just sort of raising that you had a reasonably good run tonight. You're fairly consistent and in the middle of most things. Your lap times were pretty consistent. Obviously, your in race lap at one point was quicker than your qualifying lap, but that's probably to be expected. I mean, you caught a draft somewhere or whatever, but. Did you, as I asked one of the others, and we noticed with a few people, did you have much of an issue with tyre wear tonight? Like you're sort of holding on, hoping for a pace car at any point?
Yeah, definitely towards the end when I was about to get lapped. I think the leader was actually trying to save tyres too, and he backed off because he wasn't catching me. And I went, well, that's handy, and then the yellow flag came out. But yeah, after a good 20 laps, I was struggling big time. I had to learn till about halfway just to conserve the tyres, or what line to run to conserve the tyres, and I sort of got it, but yeah, after the damage it took all that out of the equation.
Yeah, I imagine that long period of about 56 laps under green must have been pretty difficult then.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, we were watching for fuel. That's what we were concerned about, and we figured somebody would have to come in at some point under green because it must have been getting low on fuel, and tyres must have been getting pretty terrible by that stage. But that's exactly what ended up having to happen. So people pitted under green and got it taken care of. But that made it even more exciting as far as the racing was concerned. Because the whole thing was for a great cause for Tristan, it seemed to be very successful. And I think people who watching the stream and donated while watching the stream certainly got their enjoyment factor tonight. So everybody in the race tonight put in a fantastic effort. There were some guys who didn't actually finish, but they actually put in some great racing while it lasted.
Yeah, it's very good. And just like to say thank you to everyone that helped out, donate and race tonight. It ended up being a really good race and something really enjoyable, and hope we can do more in the future.
Yeah, no, fantastic stuff. Bernie, over to you.
Yeah, well, basically, I've just been doing the calculations, and roughly, very roughly, we would have raised about $242 through the donations during the broadcast tonight. So it's been a very good effort by everyone concerned, I think, and going to a fantastic cause. So, you know, to me, that's a success.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah, well, anyway, Danny, thanks for joining in tonight and having a great run and coming up and having a chat. But do you have any sponsors or anyone else you need to give a shout out to?
No real sponsors on this. It's just a fictional scheme. I love that scheme from Jeff Gordon. But I'd just like to say hello to my missus, I guess. She's out in the lounge room watching.
Awesome.
So, g'day.
Yep, fantastic. Well, hopefully she's enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, I think she did.
No worries. All right, Danny, thanks for joining in, and we'll see you no doubt Thursday night for the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder.
Yes, you will. Thanks, fellas.
See you, mate.
And for those who are actually interested in watching that stream on RRTV's YouTube channel, etc., that round of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder will be at Chicagoland next Thursday night. So that should be pretty exciting, Bernie.
Chicagoland, yeah. I sort of think it's like Disneyland for racing drivers, but I could be wrong.
Well, I've never actually run there, but the track map, the track layout looks pretty exciting. It looks like there might be some good speed areas on the track, but other parts that a little bit like Charlotte tonight, where it's going to be a case of not quite keeping the foot into it. So, but yeah, you want to bring anybody else up, Bernie?
We've got one more. Weehan Chan came home 5th tonight, and Weehan was the person who got Lee Granty to have a run with us tonight. So let's bring up an old voice. Some of you might recognise him. He has called a few of the trucks races and the SRA with me. So let's have a chat. Hi, Weehan. Well done, mate. They're coming home 5th tonight. And we spoke to your friend Lee earlier. How was the racing? Did you have a good time?
Hey Bernie, hey Steve. Today's racing was excellent. I loved every single bit of the racing today. Very nicely done.
Fantastic, and the paint jobs looked really good too. You and Lee were, I think, the only international drivers we had here tonight. Well, I guess no, because we had New Zealanders here too, so we have to count them as international, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an Australian event, but I mean, how to say, we're able to, from overseas, if we're able to help out, we'll just come in and help out, and at the same time have fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic having you to jump in and support such a great cause. And I better bring up the right name. There you go. Now the right name's up. But looking at your stats there, you started in 9th, come home in 5th. You looked very, very competitive, and it really showed your skill in the NASCAR style, because I'm pretty sure you were telling me off air that this is your favourite category of racing.
Thanks, buddy. Absolutely. NASCAR, I think, is become what my go-to series when I want to get ultra competitive. And well, I think I just sort of find NASCAR racing to be that bit more exciting in a way compared to what I usually do on the road. And well, it was a good time that I had today with racing with all of them.
Yeah, it was good racing, that's for sure. And were you surprised at the amount of green laps we had? We had about 172, was from my calculation.
Oh, that sounds like quite a great amount. Of course, I mean, it all goes to a good cause, and we're just trying to help out as much as we can.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the Xfinity car, what's your experience with this car? Have you driven it a lot, or is it something you've sort of just jumped in? Like we spoke to Lee, and he sort of said, he'd done 30-something laps before the event and then jumped in and raced it.
Well, with this Xfinity, of course, for this race itself, I just jumped in, went straight to race, no practice at all. But I mean, outside of this by myself, I do quite a lot of practice on other tracks. So I've sort of been able to build up my own how do you put it? How to say? I've sort of gotten more familiarized with the car before I've actually come into this race.
Okay, fantastic. And I've got Steve Hoppert here. Steve's got a very important question. He wants to know why you can't call the Thursday nights now. I tried to appease him, but he wouldn't listen to me, so you're going to have to explain it in person.
Good. Hey, Weehan, how are you?
Hey Steve, how are you?
I'm going good. I'm going very good. Yeah, filling in the spot here. You were on track and I wasn't. Makes a bit of a change.
Well, I mean, school and stuff like that. My schedule has to get changed a bit, and unfortunately, that meant my Thursdays would be taken away from. I mean, especially late afternoon. I won't be at home, so I can't call the action.
Yeah, no, it's all good, mate. Look, life comes first, and that's the way it is. But I actually arranged to do this quite some time ago anyway, because I decided I'd jump in and commentate and do my bit for the charity cause and all that, rather than actually race. So I actually expected it to be a bigger field, but 19 was a good sized field. That was all right, and we had got some good racing out of it. You yourself had a pretty good night on track, coming home fifth, and I'm trying to remember where you started, but I'm pretty sure that's well ahead of where you actually began the race.
Well, thanks, Steve. I think I started at qualified 8th or 9th, but I mean, although I finished at 5th, I actually dropped all the way back at certain points of the race. I actually dropped all the way back to, I think, 13th or 14th before slowly, making use of my, not only the on-track time, also making use of my pit stops to get that slight jump ahead of the other drivers whenever I could.
Yeah, like you weren't the only one, mate. There were plenty of people that started way down the field right at the back at the beginning of the race, and worked their way right up into the top, 5 or 8 at one point. And some other people did exactly what you did, and they started towards the front, dropped right down, and then worked their way back up again, back into the top, 6 or 8. So it was just one of those nights. And there was a lot of positional changes and a lot of good racing out there. There was some good moves and some good passes, and it was very exciting to watch. And because it was for a good cause, that made it even better.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think with regards to the strategy of drivers going down and coming back up, I think it's more to do with trying to understand the sort of the tire wear and how the tire would react every sort of based on the time. And I think some of us, we started off trying to conserve more on the tires, and only afterwards did we start to push harder. But of course, I mean, as much fun as we had tonight, of course, the bigger cause tonight is for Tristan, and I mean, that's what this sort of what's been going on at the back of my mind every time I've been racing tonight, and yeah, sorry, I mental block.
Look, that's fine, mate. That's great.
Yeah.
Look, we appreciate both you and Lee joining us for this tonight. We realise that the time zone's a bit of a problem for you, and it's not the sort of thing you can do regularly, but it was just fantastic to actually have the two Asian races here from that region of the world, rather than just all the Aussie NZ guys. So that was just fantastic to get those driving skills in. And, of course, Lee, having a really strong second after leading so many laps of the race in the middle sector there. So he had a fantastic night and a great finish, and you've finished top 5, and it made it worthwhile. So I'm not sure what time it is over there at the moment, but it's been for a great cause, and you had a great race and a good finish. So you must feel worthwhile that it was good to put the time in.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It was completely worthwhile tonight. I mean, finishing position, yes, it was great that, I mean, Grandy, he finished second and I came home 5th. But again, the bigger purpose of this race has been for the charity, and I think that's what mattered most to all of us who raced tonight.
Yeah, no, fantastic stuff, and it was great to have you guys in amongst the field there, and just having a good time, because regardless of why we were here, it was a good time, and it was an exciting race to watch. It's just that because it was for such a good cause that it made it even more special tonight. So I'm sure people enjoyed watching it as well, and it was great to have you here, and we look forward to having you join some more of our races when time permits.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, I would be looking forward to more races with ANZCAR and with you guys, of course. Exploring around and looking for all sorts of races to get myself into, and just learning along the way. And of course, tonight's race, it's been excellent. I think Grant and I, we would agree that we've had perhaps one of the best experiences ever.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Weehan, for dropping in and answering all of our questions, and thanks for participating in such a great event. But we'll let you go now, because I know you sort of need to sleep a lot, because you're a very, very old person. You sound very youthful, like you're 18, but I know you're about 85, I think you told me.
That's what they all say, but yeah, it's actually just 7 p.m. over here, so I've still got a long way to go tonight. But I mean, of course, it's been great tonight, and of course, thank you, Bernie, thank you, Steve, for calling the action. I'm sure viewers would have enjoyed it as well, and yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, mate. Started 9th, come home 5th, and your car was pretty straight, so a good effort by you and by Lee tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So, Steve, the only other person we've got down there is Roger. I'm not sure if he wants to come up for an interview. Should we bring him up and you can have a very quick chat with him, and then we'll end our broadcast tonight?
Yeah, we'll have a real quick one with Roger. We had a chat with him earlier on during the race, so we'll have a quick chat with Roger now as one of the ANZCAR admins responsible for this great event, and then we can wrap things up. Good evening, Roger.
How's it going?
Well, the question that I was going to actually ask you, now that the race is over, I mean, you've spent all that time in the pits before you were able to get back out on track and finish the race. So, yeah, probably not the way you would have wanted it to go, but unfortunately that's racing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's the nature of the beast, really. Yeah, unfortunately, I'd forgotten to put on that fast repair, which is, that's really my own fault. But yeah, that's oval racing. No real time to react when things go wrong. I mean, yeah. Whilst I'm at it, I should also say sorry to Grunty. I actually nearly wrecked him out when I got back on, and I was just absolutely punting the car around the track. Like I was just on the chat with Edward just afterwards, and he was saying, man, like I was just coming up on him like a bat out of hell. Like he'd be surprised if I wasn't putting in the fastest lap times. But yeah. So anyway, that's racing. But just really want to say thank you to everybody who came out and did this, and put some effort and put some money over for Tristan, especially Wayne from MFI. He's really come through. So yeah, I hope you guys had a enjoyable broadcast, the bits I saw whilst I was having a break.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was exciting stuff to watch, and hopefully Bernie and I have sort of made it even more exciting for people to watch it out there as the normal viewers. But it is for a good cause. I'd like to just sort of make sure that people keep that in mind. This event was for a good cause. It is for a good cause, and donations are still possible. Anybody who joined in the second half and haven't had a chance to donate but thought they'd like to, you can get to the link through just down below the stream window there on YouTube to the GoFundMe. And you can still make a donation, whether it be $1, $5, or $10. And I'd actually like to thank ANZCAR, Roger, Danny, Edward, these guys for actually putting it on and organising this event for Tristan. And it's gone off pretty damn well and been a fantastic night for a good cause.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Hopefully not the last of our long races. So, always keeping our eyes to the future.
Okay, so I've got one question for you here, and this is all to do with time. So, Weehan from Singapore said it was 7 p.m. It's 10:26 p.m. here. What is it over in New Zealand? It must be like 1:30 in the morning or something.
No, it is 12:30 over here. I've just gone 12:30, like now. And yeah, I'm actually going to stay up and do the NIS race at 3 because I got wiped out yesterday doing the NIS race, and things are tight at the top. So there's sort of like 500 points between the top three with me in the middle, and trying to put a big notch on my belt. Sort of finishing the top three in that, hopefully first. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Glutton for punishment.
just love my oval racing. Grew up watching it.
What it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. That was sort of the whole idea behind putting ANZCAR together, and got a good team, and going from strength to strength as it is, and just a big shout out to all the drivers who take part regularly. I know we had a bit of an issue on Thursday night, but sort of like I say, we're going from strength to strength, so hopefully this.
Well, I was going to say, there wasn't a whole lot you could have done about that. The track itself has a limit of 32 garages or something on it. So, and being a road course, there was a lot of fresh faces there, which sort of took up a lot of the spaces. So there wasn't a whole lot you guys could have done about that.
Oh, we could have sort of made people share pits, but we hadn't really thought of that. I mean, we are, for all intents and purposes, our main focus is oval racing and asphalt ovals in general. And, like we hadn't really put the thought into that road side of things where you're going to have a very limited number of pits. But, what's his name? Ryan Kolstad, he runs a GT3 series, the Aussie Mix and Fix GT3 series, and he was actually saying, we can expand the pits by having guys share the pits. So going into our next road race, whenever that's going to be, we'll do that. So we can have the regulars, Jason Martin, all those guys that normally take part in the big fight at the top of the series, so that they're actually in there. They're not losing points. Just sort of keeps it fair, really.
Yeah, that was unfortunate with Jason missing out and not being able to get in. I mean, a couple of people were keeping an eye out for him, but at one point it was said that that they couldn't even see him in iracing at the time, so that obviously then we just assumed that he had something else on or suddenly come up and he wasn't able to make it, but it turned out that he was trying to get in.
Yeah, which was really quite unfortunate. I mean, I know he's in the top three, and he's normally, him and Jake are normally the two big battlers. I mean, Josh Micklemore now coming into it, he's going to be another guy to watch. I was fortunate enough to jump into NIS practice with him the other day, and I mean, just the speed he can carry around a corner is phenomenal. So, going forward with our series, the more he takes part, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good new faces coming in. A lot of really close driving, so it's definitely going to become one of those series that's going to be quite entertaining.
Yep, yeah. No worries. Well, look, thank you, and on behalf of everybody, thank you for being one of the people responsible for putting this on.
No, all good. Like I say, big shout out to everybody who took the time out tonight to get together and do this and made their donations, and yeah. So anyway, you guys enjoy the evening. We'll definitely catch you on Thursday night for our next round of Thunder at Chicagoland Speedway.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to hand back to Bernie to wrap things up.
All good.
Yeah, fantastic, Roger. We'll let you go now, mate, and we'll do the final race wrap up, and then we can go to bed, and you can stay up till 3 a.m. to do your racing.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys very much for the broadcast. Excellent job again.
No worries. See you, mate.
See ya.
See you, Rod.
Sorry, Steve. I think I threw him out before you got to say goodbye. But, yeah, Steve, once again, thanks for coming in and calling the race with me. It was a darn good race, too. I had a look. We had 7 cautions, 172 laps under green. And we had... I'll bring up our stats as well. Because where are we here? Just looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different leaders tonight during the race. So that's pretty good.
And behind all that was the other positional changes, which was a lot of people back and forward. Even as Wehan said, he started inside the top 10, dropped all the way down the field, had to work his way back. and there were several other people that did the same that we were talking about during the race. I mean, we were expecting Jared Fallowell to do exactly that, which he did at one point, and then just seemed to disappear on us. He obviously had another minor incident and decided to pull the pin. David Webb did exactly that. I mean, he was up and down through the field, but when he was on, and the guy was just great to watch. And there were several other guys throughout the field that did exactly that, and it made it just fantastic racing to watch. And then there was the lead changes, like what was it, six different leaders of the race. I mean, we had Jeff Rahaley who blasted away and led the first 10 or 12 laps and looked like he was going to be untouchable. Then suddenly he had one instance and it ruined his whole night. So, yeah, fantastic stuff, Bernie.
It certainly was. And looking at the week ahead, folks, on RRTV, it should be programming as normal from tonight. Thanks to everyone for your patience last week. We were basically getting the new computer up and running. There's a few little teething issues, but it's working quite well now, so we should be all action stations next week. And what we've got lined up for you starting tomorrow night, we've got the Skip Barber Monday Night Lights. I'll have Alex McKellar back in the combox with me calling that action. That's 9:15pm GMT plus 11. Then Wednesday night we'll have the Wankel Australia New Zealand Championship back, and I'll have Luke Emerton with me calling that. Then of course Ryan Shelton will be back in the combox with me Thursday night to call the Thursday night Thunder Trucks from Chicagoland, and we'll wrap up the week with Daniel Leet and myself calling the Australian Online Supercar Championship. And if you missed last Friday night's race live, go and have a look at the replay, because we had 52 V8 supercars blasting their way around Montreal, and it was quite an epic race in itself. So folks, that brings us to the end of the broadcast. Once again, Steve Hoppert, thanks for jumping in tonight and calling it. It's always a pleasure having you in here, and we always make it fun, mate.
Mate, I've been looking forward to this for weeks since we originally spoke about it, and I'm glad I did. It was just fantastic racing and great to watch, great to call, and once again, I think we've had a blast in the commentary box together, so I look forward to the next opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be one very soon. But anyway, folks, thank you also to everyone out there that joined us in this charity event tonight. If you haven't already done so and you can spare $1, just go and make a quick donation. Every cent counts at this point, and it would be most appreciated by Tristan Yelland. I'm sure he was actually watching the race tonight and in the chat room. So to Tristan, thanks for joining in, mate, and hopefully this event will help you out a little bit, and the community gets behind you. But until next time we meet, Sunday night, don't get the Monday blues. If you do, shrug it off and come and join us for the Skip Barber Monday Lights. But until we meet again, folks, on behalf of Steve Hoppert, I'm Bernie Wiemers. Stay safe and look forward to your company again next time. Good night.